Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Konoha wants werewolf Naruto back. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by BLUEDOG1029, link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. The boy with a heart too big for his own good. In the backyard of the Uzumaki Namika's estate, two female individuals could be seen trading blows. Both of them had breathtaking crimson red hair that flowed in the wind current generated from the rapid movements from both of the individuals throwing punch after punch. The taller and seemingly older individual was the epiphany of a goddess. Her long crimson hair reached down to her waist and had two shoulder-length strands that shaped her face perfectly. She easily had cup breasts and wide hips that gave her the perfect figure, yet she was toned and fit, slim waist clearly from constant training and long legs that matched her perfectly. She was wearing simple Anbu-style pants and the well-known green Jonin vest with a blue long-sleeve shirt underneath. This was Kushina Uzumaki. A second figure couldn't be called a goddess or sexy, more cute. She was barely half the size of Kushina and could easily be called a miniature version of Kushina. She had the long red hair and violet eyes like Kushina but didn't have any curves as she looked no older than 6 or 7. She was wearing a simple pale yellow shirt with a red Uzumaki swirl on the front and simple red shorts. This was Mito Uzumaki Namika's, the daughter of Kushina Uzumaki. "Come on Mito. Is that the best you can do?" The Uzumaki matriarch, Kushina Uzumaki, chided along her daughter Mito Uzumaki Namika's as they were in the middle of a spar. "Arg." Mito Uzumaki roared from where she stood, battered and bruised, yet she rushed towards her mother, hoping to get at least one solid punch in before the spar ended. A little way away watching the fight unfold from under a tree was another child. It was a boy with medium-length spiky blonde hair and dark ocean blue eyes. He wore a simple solid red shirt and blue shorts. At first glance you may think he was just a happy little boy watching his sibling and mother sparring, but that was only half true. If you looked closely enough you would see his smile was full of bitterness and jealousy, yet he was still happy. This was Naruto Uzumaki Namika's, son of Minato Namika's, the 4th Hokage, and Kushina Uzumaki, the Red Death, twin brother of Mito Uzumaki Namika's. Now you may be wondering, why would you see a bitter smile on Naruto's face? Well, it's pretty well known common knowledge amongst their family, friends and those that were observant enough that Kushina always paid more attention to Mito and only ever trained her in the ways of the shinobi. Did Naruto know why? No. Did he care? No. He loved his Kachan, and as long as she loved him even a little bit, that was all that he needed. Did she ignore Naruto? No. She simply paid more attention to Mito for reasons Naruto never understood and only trained Mito for the same unknown reason. Was Naruto weak because he was always told Mito needs the training more, Naru? Or Naru, you know I told you once you were 7 I would start your training. So please just be patient so I can train Mito. No, to be perfectly honest, he could easily be stronger than Mito. He always watched Kushina and Mito training and waited until night and constantly tried to reciprocate everything they did, and when he was caught in a stump, he would always go to his grandfather, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the 3rd Hokage. Hiruzen was a busy man, that's why Naruto only ever asked him for help when he was really caught in a stump. Hiruzen even offered to give Naruto his own Jonin tutor for the time being until Kushina finally started to train him, but surprisingly Naruto declined and simply said, "It's okay Gramps. I'm fine waiting until Kachan finishes training Mito. I wouldn't want anyone other than Kachan teaching me." Hiruzen simply smiled, trying to not show his sadness at what Naruto said. He was one of the people who knew that Kushina always paid more attention to Mito and never made any attempt to train Naruto. He knew that Kushina loved Naruto dearly, but he couldn't help but fear what that slight favoritism, if you could call it that, would turn into at the slightest of mistakes from Kushina's part. Did Naruto resent Mito because she was pretty much taking all of his mother's attention? After all, nobody would blame him if he did. Any normal child would hate and resent somebody who took something they love away. But no, he didn't resent or hate Mito for any reason, he simply smiled and let it go. Did Naruto resent Kushina because she would pay more attention to and visibly look like she loved Mito more? No, he loved her too much to ever resent her. After all, he was simply a little boy with a heart too big for his own good. Red Light District night. Naruto, age 6. Running down the dimly lit alleys was a child with spiky blonde hair and beautiful ocean blue eyes. Huffing and puffing his way through the narrow maze-like corridors, running as fast as his little feet and legs could take him, not daring to look behind him, was one Naruto Uzumaki Namika's. "Get back here you little bastard." A voice yelled from behind Naruto. Naruto once again didn't dare look behind himself, he didn't want to risk losing any speed he might have. "Come on demon. The more you run the worse it will get." Another voice roared through the night sky. Corner after corner. He kept running as fast as he possibly could. Alley after alley. The adrenaline was barely helping anymore since his muscles were just about at their limits. And then it happened. What he always hated finding. His biggest fear at the moment. A dead end. Naruto skidded to a stop, frantically looking for some sort of exit or way out. Ha! Can't run anymore, can you? The voices were right behind him by now. Finally, Naruto turned around, horror clearly evident in his face. At least 24 villagers and a few shinobi that ranged from chunin to jonin were there, wielding things from kunai to planks of wood. What do you want? Naruto tried not to sound scared but failed miserably. What do we want? Ha! Do you hear this thing? He doesn't even know what he is. A civilian yelled sarcastically as the others around him joined him in laughter. Naruto simply stared in utter fear. We are here to finish what Lord Fourth started. Why are you doing this to me then? Naruto whimpered. Because you are a demon. Naruto didn't know what that meant. He simply stared in confusion and fear until they approached him. Please. Naruto yelled in a dire attempt to escape. But they didn't listen. The few that were ninjas simply grabbed him and pinned him to the wall, while the civilians hit him with the bats or stabbed him with the kunai they obtained by the ninja. Kill the bastard son of Lord Fourth. They chanted as he was beaten. Stab after stab. Hit after hit. Naruto never let himself pass out. Why? Because his Kachan would worry if he was out too late, and he wouldn't want that, now would he? So, after the constant hour of torture, the civilians and ninjas all left, having gotten bored as Naruto didn't even scream anymore. So as fast as he could, Naruto limped through town and entering the clan district until he arrived at the Uzumaki Namika's compound. As he entered the compound, he could feel his sister sleeping already and Kushina waiting in the living room, probably watching TV while she waited for him. He asked Hiruzen about his ability before, and Hiruzen simply said he was lucky to have that skill, and he called him a censor. Naruto didn't really know what to think about that, so he simply didn't care for it. It just helped at times like this. As soon as Naruto entered his house, he heard his mother call out quite intimidatingly. Naruto Uzumaki. Where have you been? It's 2 hours past your curfew. Kushina stomped her way through the house to go see Naruto. I was out with friends, Naruto weakly responded as Kushina rounded the corner to spot him in the hallway coming from the front door. Kushina was wearing a simple white nightgown that wasn't exactly see-through, but you could see through it enough to send any normal man into a hormonal frenzy. Naruto. What happened? Kushina ran as fast as she could towards Naruto as she saw the many cuts and bruises scattered all over his body. I was out with friends and fell out of a tree, Naruto lied. What? Be more careful. How many times do I have to tell you to stop doing such dangerous things? Kushina scolded her son as she led him to the bathroom so she could wash him in the bath and tend to his wounds. Yes, these things happen quite often. Naruto doesn't even have that many friends his own age to play with, but what his mother doesn't know wouldn't hurt her. Did Naruto lie? Obviously. Why? Because he doesn't want to trouble his mother more than he already does. After all, he's just a boy with a heart too big for his own good. October 10th. Naruto's 7th birthday. Usually Naruto had mixed emotions about today. It was his birthday, why wouldn't he be happy? He didn't know why, but the villagers and the shinobi who usually hunted him down would always get worse on his birthday. He even heard one of them call it a fox hunt in honor of the day. The reason he was hunted? Because today was the day Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, sacrificed himself for his village in order to defeat the demon known as the nine-tailed fox. The villagers and shinobi that held grudges against the beast for taking away their loved ones and destroying their homes and leaving most homeless and beggars. What does this have to do with Naruto? Because the villagers and those of the shinobi that were utterly retarded, that's the nicest way one could describe them, they thought that Naruto was the demon incarnate. Why? Naruto didn't even have to fox his power. But they didn't try to learn nor care to learn. Minato Namikaze, on the night of Naruto's and Mito's birth, was forced to seal the nine-tailed fox away after it was released from Kushina. But he didn't just seal it into one of his children, no, he sealed it into both of them. But was he smart and seal it evenly between both of his children? Sadly, no. He sealed the soul of the fox into Naruto and all of the fox's power into Mito. His thought was that without the fox's power, the fox could do nothing to tempt or torment his host and would render it useless. Hell, he even told the shinobi and few villagers who saw the scene to treat both of his children as heroes. But when they heard Naruto had the literal soul of the demon inside of him, the villagers and few shinobi were too blinded by hate and revenge and took out their hatred on Naruto. Don't get me wrong, Mito had some haters too, but not even close to the same level as Naruto. And with her mother Kushina Uzumaki always with her, those enemies just backed away. So once again Naruto was treated as the demon and the bastard son of the fourth Hokage. While Kushina and Mito were the fourth Hokage's beloved family that everyone loved unconditionally because of Minato's sacrifice. But did Kushina know of this? No. Did Naruto care if she knew? No. In fact, he didn't want her to know. He didn't want to bother her. After all, the boy had a heart too big for his own good. But what he doesn't realize, the bigger they are the harder they fall. And his heart was really big. Hokage's office. Hey Gramps. Naruto entered the Hokage's office with the brightest smile that Hiruzen has ever seen on his face. Naruto, my boy. What brings you here today? The third Hokage chirped back innocently, even though he knew very well what today was. It's my birthday. I'm turning 7 today. Naruto exclaimed as he threw his hands up to make a statement. Oh. How could I forget? Hiruzen said sarcastically. Ahoo. Naruto confirmed. So? What's so different about today instead of your other birthdays? If I remember correctly, you were never a big fan of your last few birthdays. Hiruzen inquired as he hinted towards the way the villagers went on the so-called fox hunt. Yes, Hiruzen knew of these occurrences, he was the all-knowing Hokage after all. Now you may be wondering why didn't he tell Kushina? But the answer is quite simple actually. Naruto actually asked him the first time to not tell his mother, after all he didn't want to burden his mother anymore than he already has. He simply loved her too much. This actually brought the old Hokage to tears more than once. He was the one who would cradle Naruto as he was soaked in his own blood and had fragments of glass and kunai still embedded inside of himself. And not once did Naruto ever falter in his decision. It was something the Hokage saw and that was the only reason he respected the boy's decision. As much as it hurt him to watch it all, he nevertheless went with the boy's wishes. Hiruzen has even told Naruto in those times as a toddler that this world didn't deserve him. His family didn't deserve him. Hell, he even said he himself, the Hokage, didn't deserve him. Naruto was the most loving soul he had ever seen in both adults and children. Naruto's heart was simply too big for his own good. The Hokage saw this all too clearly. Well, today is special because Naruto started to get extremely hyper and started mumbling to himself, which made the Hokage smile. Because? Hiruzen questioned. Because now Kachan can start training me. I'm finally 7. She promised me once I turned 7 she would teach me in the ninja arts and everything. And I can finally learn how to use her cool chain thingies too. Naruto cheered as he jumped around the room, mimicking the cool ninja moves he saw as he watched some Jonin senseis teach their genin squads. At that simple statement Hiruzen almost broke down. He visibly flinched as he heard those words. I see, well I'm sorry, but today I won't be able to hang out with you or give you a present for your birthday, Hiruzen said truthfully as he did have too much paperwork and it couldn't wait until tomorrow. Oh well, that's okay Gramps. I don't need a present. Naruto cheered truthfully, he was never big on presents, as long as he had people he loved around he was perfectly okay just hanging out with them. Oh? I see, well how about this? Tomorrow I'll take the day off and I'll finally teach you some cool new jutsu. It will be a Naruto only training regimen. Hiruzen couldn't simply not give his pretty much adopted grandson a present. Really? Thank you Gramps. Naruto basically flew over the Hokage's desk and embraced the old Hokage in a bone-crushing hug. Anything for you my boy, Lord knows you deserve it, Hiruzen whispered just quiet enough for Naruto to not hear. Hiruzen simply smiled and patted Naruto's back for a good minute before he finally lifted Naruto up and placed him back onto the ground. Alright, now run along to your mother. I know how she is when you're late, so make sure you get home soon. I'll pick you up tomorrow and then we can go learn the new jutsu I promised. Does that sound alright to you? Hiruzen asked. Yeah. I'll be waiting. Naruto cheerfully declared. Alright good boy. Hiruzen then ruffled Naruto's hair and shooed him away. Bye Gramps. You better have some really cool jutsu for tomorrow. I'm a quick learner. Naruto waved goodbye from the doorway with his bright smile that could brighten even the darkest of days. Oh, I will. Now hurry before your mother starts to get worried. Hiruzen waved back. And so, Naruto left and slammed the door shut. Anbu? Leave. Hiruzen yelled, but anyone could hear his voice crack from the sudden influx of emotion he had to hide from Naruto. But Lord Hoka, one of the Anbu operatives, tried to say, out. Hiruzen yelled even louder this time. He steeled his voice. As soon as he was left in the room seemingly alone he broke down. Tears streamed down his face as he placed his head into his hands and stared down at his desk in despair. Finally, after a minute of silent crying, he punched his desk as hard as he could without chakra, sending splinters of wood around the room in the process, but he didn't care. He just spun his chair around and leaned back staring at the vast sky outside of his window. Hiruzen, why are you crying? A voice spoke from behind Hiruzen in front of his desk. Panther Hiruzen didn't even flinch from the sudden voice. Why are you in despair? Shouldn't you be happy for the boy? And don't try to change topics and say you aren't sad for him. I could see it in your eyes as you spoke to him. The now called Panther spoke in a gruff voice. Panther was wearing the full Anbu uniform including the mask that was completely white with black markings for a panther, and on his left shoulder was a band that read Captain, so one would assume this man was an Anbu captain. All you could see from his natural features was black hair with some silver in it and his silver eyes that peered through the mask. Didn't I order everyone to leave? Hiruzen steeled his eyes that were still red from crying. Hiruzen, Panther spoke in a lower tone. Ugh. Hiruzen hit the desk with both fists again as tears began to stream again. What happened? Even the Panther Anbu was clearly taken aback by the Hokage's appearance. The Anbu operative spoke as if he has known Hiruzen for quite some time. I fear we are going to lose one of the brightest and most pure beings alive today. Hiruzen leaned back again and sighed. That boy? Panther inquired. Yes, why? He looks so happy right now. That's the problem, he looks happy right now, that will soon change. The old cage explained. Can you explain? Panther questioned, clearly intrigued and slightly worried. Very well, it all started when, with Naruto. Naruto was smiling as brightly as he possibly could. Why would he not? He just turned 7. He would soon be able to train with his Kachan. He was basically skipping home from the Hokage Tower. His mind didn't even register the glares and curses being thrown at him. Finally, after only around 10 minutes, he finally reached the Uzumaki Namika's compound. Kachan. I'm home. Naruto yelled from the front door as he hurriedly threw off his shoes and ran through the house. No answer. Naruto ran through the house until finally he reached the back door where he saw his mother and sister training in what looked like a new jutsu in the backyard. He looked bitterly and jealous at them for the smallest of a fraction of a second until he shook it off and sprinted towards Kushina. Kachan. Naruto hurled himself towards Kushina, hugging her waist, catching her completely off guard as she was watching Mito trying to learn the new water jutsu from a scroll on the ground in front of her. Sachi. How's my little Naru? Kushina squealed as she hugged Naruto back and lifted him up and spun him around, still hugging him as hard as she could. These were the times Naruto loved the most. This feeling right here was what he lived for, the warmth from his mother's embrace. Like this, he loved every second of it. I'm good, Kachan. Naruto answered back. Good. Now where were you this morning? I came to say happy birthday after Mito, and you weren't anywhere to be seen. Kushina finally sat down with Naruto on her lap. I went to play with some friends. Then I went to Aunt Mikoto and then I said hi to Gramps. Naruto exclaimed, snuggling closer into his mother. For some reason there was a little voice in his head that told him to enjoy this as much as he could. And enjoy it he did. I see, did you get anything good for your birthday? Kushina asked. Yep. Gramps is gonna teach me a new special ninjutsu technique tomorrow. And Auntie gave my gift to Itachi, so I have to wait for him to give it to me. Naruto explained. That's great, Sachi. Kushina exclaimed. Yep. But none of them are even gonna be able to compare to my present. Kushina declared as she fist pumped the air. Really, what is it? Naruto asked happily. That my little Naru will have to wait. Now let's go get some ramen. Kushina then picked Naruto up and called over Mito. And so, the day went on as good as Naruto could have ever expected. They got ramen, went to see a movie, even went and played at the park, just the three of them. But finally, it was dark and they were all home eating cake. So who's ready presents? Kushina exclaimed out of nowhere, causing both of the children to look up from their bowl with sparkles in their eyes. Me. The twins both yelled at the same time, causing Kushina to giggle slightly at their enthusiasm. Alright. Then wait here and I'll bring them out. Kushina then got up from her seat in the living room where they were all situated and walked to her bedroom. The twins both waited patiently yet excitedly for their mother to return. And out came their mother with one box. It was wrapped neatly with orange wrapping paper. Here you go, Naru. Kushina gently laid the box that was as tall as Naruto, yet as thin as a few inches. Thanks, Kachan. Naruto quickly thanked his mother as he tore open the present. Inside the wrapping was a simple wooden box. Once he opened the box, he marveled at what he saw. A sword. Naruto was in awe. The hilt was simple red with a golden guard, while the sheath was red with golden markings, like it was of a golden dragon wrapping around the sheath. What about me, Mom? Mito asked with big eyes. You, my dear. Kushina stopped for dramatic effect. Naruto and Mito both listened intently. Are going on a training trip with me? Kushina exclaimed happily. Yay. Mito jumped and pumped her fist in the air just like how Kushina does. Awesome. Kachan, when are we leaving? This time Naruto added. Oh, Naruto, sorry, but it's just going to be me and Mito on this trip. Kushina was quick to explain. What? Naruto asked in confusion and shock. Yeah, I have to teach more stuff to Mito before I can start on your training. So, on the trip I have to be really devoted to Mito and Mito alone to make sure she is prepared and ready. Kushina continued to explain. But you said once I was 7 that you would train me. You promised. Naruto asked dreadfully. I know, but don't worry. Once I'm back you will be big enough to wield that sword and I can teach you everything I know. You and Mito will be the best swordsman and swordswoman in all of the elemental nations. Kushina was quick to answer as she noticed Naruto lose all the light in his eyes. Oh, Naruto said sadly, the one thing that was promised to him. The one thing that kept him going and made him not care about being ignored and neglected with training. The promise. Was it ever wise for him to believe in it? Obviously not. The promise was broken. And once again he was the only one hurt and Kushina and Mito got everything good out of the deal. How long is your training trip going to be? Naruto asked quietly. A few years. I honestly don't know, at the least 3 years I would say, but even that is a big of. Kushina answered with a finger to her chin and thought. Naruto didn't answer to that, just fell deeper into despair. Alright Mito. Go pack your bags, we are leaving tomorrow morning immediately. Kushina exclaimed cheerfully. All I ever wanted was you to teach me. I don't want a stupid sword, I wanted you to train me, show me the same attention, the same love, but no, I was foolish to ever expect anything else. I'm simply the bastard son, the demon, the unwanted. Naruto spoke barely audible. Kushina and Mito just looked over at him confusedly as he clutched the blade in his hand and looked into his reflection on the blade. Naruto. Are you okay? Kushina asked worriedly. He didn't want the stupid blade. He didn't want anything but for her to keep her promise. He simply stared down at his new sword. And as slowly as he could he closed the blade and put it back into its box and sealed it back up. This in itself shocked Kushina. She pretty much expected to have to scold Naruto for playing with his new sword inside the house. Naruto. Kushina was completely thrown out of the loop, she didn't know what happened. Naruto stood up with his hair shadowing both of his eyes. I'm fine, Ka-chan. Don't worry about it. Both Kushina and Mito sat there wide-eyed at the scene before them. Naruto stood there with the widest smile across his face. But that isn't what shocked them. Tears, so many tears were streaming down his face as he smiled at them. It was uncomfortable to say the least. No child should be able to give such a broken expression. And so, with a never-ending amount of tears streaming from his eyes down his face, sometimes going into his mouth so he tasted the salty liquid, he turned around and walked towards the stairs so he could go to his room. Naruto. Kushina called out so he would come back after she got over the initial shock. Mom, I'm tired, I played with my friends a lot this morning, so I just want to be alone and sleep. Naruto didn't even give her time to answer before he slowly walked up the stairs. Oh okay. Kushina for once was completely clueless as to what just happened or what she should do. Naruto walked into his room upstairs and closed the door softly. There was a brief moment of silence. And then he broke down. Ah! Naruto roared in agony as he threw the wooden box at the wall, shattering it on impact. The sword falling out onto the floor. He didn't care how loud he was in his room. After all, when you lived with seal masters growing up, you tend to get benefits in your room. The main one being a soundproofed room, so nothing could be heard from the inside out. Ah! Naruto literally swiped everything off of his desk onto the wall, breaking a clay mug that was previously there. His room was a nice room beforehand, blue walls, a nice full-size bed, a desk where he kept a few scrolls and school books. A dresser with a mirror and pictures all around his room of different kanji for sealing and simple messages like the will of fire, look underneath the underneath. Simple ninja sayings and whatnot. Naruto had too much adrenaline pumping through his veins at the moment and he knew it. If he didn't get out of the house he would destroy his room and his mother would most likely try and see what's going on. So, he opened his window. Leaving everything where it was sprawled across the floor, not caring for the broken picture frames and cups. And he jumped. He left to blow off steam and gather his thoughts. He could only take so much. All that pent-up stress and anger, disappointment, agony, depression, jealousy, fury, childish tendencies, pain, everything he ever held back because of his love for his family. Everything he did because of a promise. A promise to be taught and given the same experiences as his sister. Broken. The promise couldn't have been called a promise anymore. Did she ever plan to go through with the promise? Naruto couldn't think straight. He was mad, not just mad, he was in pure agony and rage. He wanted to cry his eyes out, he wanted to vomit his guts out, and he wanted to destroy all at the same time. Now you may be thinking, why would such a promise break Naruto so much? Because to him that promise was everything he lived for the past years. He didn't care if he was ignored as long as the promise was fulfilled. He didn't care if he was beaten by the villagers and he kept it from his own family, as long as the promise was fulfilled he didn't care. He would do anything as long as that promise was fulfilled. The promise was more than just being trained by his mother, no, this was much more than that. And so, Naruto sprinted across the rooftops into the forest and sprinted until he couldn't sprint anymore. He stopped as he was in the middle of the forest. He huffed and puffed but he didn't stop. He punched a nearby tree, subconsciously drawing chakra and adding his chakra into every punch, slowly chipping away at the tree. And then once both of his fists were bleeding profusely, he roared. He screamed in pure anger and rage. He wailed all of his agony away. He yelled until he couldn't anymore and then he passed out right then and there. Kushina and Mito didn't know what they did. But they broke probably the purest and happiest being in the world. After all, the boy with a heart too big for his own good would surely have his entire world cave in eventually. The next day. Nah. Ka-chan. Are you sure it's okay to leave Naruto without saying goodbye? Mito asked as her and Kushina arrived at the front gate. We can't help it, Mito. We are on a tight schedule and I couldn't find Naruto anywhere. At least we saw him last night. Now come on. Kushina ushered Mito towards the gate. Okay if you say so, Mom. We wouldn't be having this problem if you didn't sleep in too long. Kushina exclaimed as she continued to lightly jog towards the gate. Oh, please Mom. You slept in as long as me. Mito spoke as she glared lightly at her mother who whistled innocently in return. Still I half expected the old man to be here He's old, it's not like he would be able to get up this early either way. Kushina spoke about Hiruzen like he was her own father and was a bit disappointed he wasn't there to send them off. But little did she know Hiruzen was infuriated at her ever since their talk the day before Naruto and Mito's birthday. Flashback, are you stupid, Kushina? Hiruzen took out his pipe, that's how serious this was. What are you talking about, this is full proof. Kushina exclaimed. No, this is utterly retarded even with your standards. Hiruzen refuted. What? Why? Kushina demanded answers. You're telling me you want to leave your only son, who may I add is only 6 years old, here in Konoha while you and your daughter adventure through the nation's training and doing clan-type activities? Yep. That right there is your problem. Why in the whole wide damned world do you think leaving your son here is a good idea? Hiruzen roared. He'll be fine. He has you. And multiple family friends. Like Makoto Kurina, Yugao Hana, Kakashi and more. Kushina explained. You people don't deserve Naruto. Hiruzen spoke out truthfully and clearly offending Kushina. Excuse me? What are you trying to say? He's my son, not yours, not anyone else's. I think I deserve him more than anyone else. Kushina spoke out threateningly. I meant what I said. You don't deserve him. Nobody in Konoha deserves him. Nobody in the whole wide cursed world deserves that boy. He doesn't deserve what he gets. Hiruzen cleared up. Well, thanks. Kushina seemed to beam at her father figure as she took that as a compliment. That was far from a compliment to you, Kushina. If anything, the only person that complimented was Naruto. Hiruzen explained. Still. Naruto will be just fine. He has been just fine this long. What will a few more years do? Kushina asked. What about your promise? Hiruzen asked back. What promise? Oh, you are starting to seriously disappoint me, Kushina. You promised him to train him after he turned 7. Hiruzen roared. What? That promise? He'll be fine. He understands everything. Anything I do he agrees with and doesn't argue with. He almost makes no trouble or anything. I'm sure he will be just fine waiting a few more years. And plus, Mito will be done training so she can help me. Kushina exclaimed. But God, how long are you planning on being out of the village for then? Hiruzen asked calmly. A few years. If we're super lucky, maybe 3 to 4 years. But who knows? We will go wherever the wind takes us. And also where I set up specific training appointments, but none that different. Kushina fist pumped the air, not caring at all what she said. You? Kushina was clearly confused. Get out. Hiruzen ordered. What? You didn't even answer. Just get out. Do what you want. Don't blame me for what happens afterward. Now leave. Hiruzen roared with clear disappointment and anger in his voice. Geez, did he wake up on the wrong side of the bed or what? Kushina asked herself as she walked the Hokage Tower halls. Still. I got the okay. Mito, prepare for the best training trip ever. Kushina cheered as she quickly ran home to prepare. Flashback end. Alright. We're burning daylight here. Kushina yelled as she started off towards the exit. Wait up, Mom. Mito yelled as she went to catch up with Kushina. As Kushina thought about what Hiruzen said, it started to affect her more and more. She started to doubt her decision to leave Naruto behind. She had this feeling of dread in her gut, but she waved it off as fast as it appeared. That will be fine. Kushina spoke to herself. What will Mom? Mito asked. Nothing. Kushina cheered as she continued out. And so, they left, not realizing the monster they created. The demon they let out. The most loving creature alive they broke, tortured, and burned into nothing but ashes. Hokage Tower. Boom. Hey. Get back here, you brat. Crash. You can't go in there. Those were the noises Sarutobi Hiruzen heard as he sat in his office in utter silence, staring out towards his village. He already knew what was happening, after all, he watched what sparked what was about to happen. Last night Sarutobi Hiruzen watched through his crystal ball everything that happened with Naruto and his family. He saw this coming from the very beginning of Mito's training and Naruto's neglect, since in the very end what Kushina did to Naruto was neglect, there was no other title for it. Sure, she loved him, there was no question about that, even Sarutobi saw that, but her stupidity and fear clouded her thoughts and mind and in the end caused Naruto to break. Hiruzen clutched his fists in anger, no, not just anger, rage, pure and utter rage was all that he felt at the moment towards Kushina. She was a daughter and everything but blood to him, don't get him wrong, but he couldn't believe what was happening and Naruto was going to be the biggest factor in it all. But Hiruzen steeled himself and prepared himself as he heard the footsteps and stomps get closer to his office. Slam. All the preparations and thoughts Hiruzen gathered completely shattered as he saw the scene in front of his very eyes unveil. Naruto was standing in the doorway, crying. He had the most agonizing expression Hiruzen had ever seen on his face. It made his heart break just watching. And so Hiruzen did the only thing he could think of doing. He brought Naruto into a bone-crushing hug, letting the boy cry into his Hokage robes. Hiruzen scaled the room like he was about to kill an enemy on the battlefield, that's how fast he moved. He looked up as he hugged Naruto and motioned for the workers and several ninja to leave him and Naruto alone for the time being. Why? Naruto wailed. Hiruzen simply stayed quiet. Why don't they love me? Why do they get everything good when I get nothing but pain? Naruto's yells were muffled by the old Hokage's robes. I can't answer that, Naruto. I don't know. Hiruzen was at a loss for words. They left me. They didn't even say goodbye. They don't care about me. Naruto wailed even harder. Hiruzen couldn't think of an answer for that remark. In a way he agreed with Naruto. It hurts. It hurts so bad. Naruto exclaimed. I know, Naruto, I know. Hiruzen rubbed Naruto's back. She promised. She promised me. And she broke the promise like it didn't even mean anything. Naruto cried. I know. What do I do? Naruto questioned. Just let it out, let out all of your pain, Hiruzen advised. And so, Naruto cried. He wailed. He agonized. Finally, after 10 minutes of non-stop crying, Naruto let up and backed away from Hiruzen. Are you okay for now? Hiruzen asked. I think so, Naruto answered meekly with a sniffle at the end. Then let's go to my house. I did promise to teach you some cool new jutsu, didn't I? Hiruzen tried to cheer up Naruto. Grandpa. I don't think I want to train today, Naruto informed sadly. I see, then how about we? Hiruzen looked around the room, then looked outside and saw that it started to snow. How about we what? Naruto asked curiously. How about we go and drink some hot chocolate? Hiruzen cheered. Can we have marshmallows? Naruto asked quietly. We can have as many as you want. Hiruzen told the boy, expecting him to jump for joy. Thank you, Grandpa. Naruto didn't cheer, he simply smiled up at his grandfather figure. That reaction in itself broke Hiruzen's heart once again. The smile wasn't the same Naruto smile that could brighten up even the darkest of places, no, it was just another smile tainted by the unjust world they lived in. Alright then, let's go back to your house and pack your things. Kushina said that you would be staying with me while she is away. Hiruzen explained, and all of a sudden Naruto's expression dropped once again. We can't, Naruto informed. Oh? And why is that? Hiruzen asked. Because I'm locked out. She placed the seals before she left and I was away. I think she didn't add me into the seal security system. Naruto explained, and once again Hiruzen was filled with disappointment and anger. That's fine. We can go and buy you some things tomorrow. Hiruzen cheered, trying to lighten the mood once again. Naruto looked in silence for a few moments seemingly in thought. Can I change? Naruto asked out of nowhere. Excuse me? Hiruzen asked, clearly confused. Can I become somebody new? Naruto clarified. Why would you want to do that? Hiruzen carefully questioned, knowing he was walking on thin ice. I want to become somebody else. Everything I do ends up with me being in pain. I don't like it. I want to become somebody else so I can live happily. I don't like sacrificing myself so everyone else is happy and I'm not. Naruto further explained. That, my boy, is a hard question, but I will say this to you, you can never become somebody else. You will always be you, even if you put a mask to hide your true self. All we can do as human beings is change and adapt, but our very natural selves will always be there and weigh down on our changed selves. So, I would say this to you. Don't become somebody else, no, adapt and become stronger so you don't have to sacrifice yourself for something you don't want. Hiruzen answered sagely. Okay, thank you, I'll do that, Naruto informed him. But now let's go get some hot chocolate and play some games. Hiruzen said as he picked Naruto up and placed him over his shoulders and started to make his way towards the Sarutobi estate. Later that night, that evening was depressing to say the least. Hiruzen did all he could to help Naruto, but nothing helped. He never cried again after the office visit, but whenever Naruto smiled it just wasn't the same. Hiruzen tried everything from playing games to watching movies with Naruto, but nothing would work. But right now, Naruto and Hiruzen were both sat on the back porch staring out at the moon that was illuminating the backyard and reflecting off the small pond nearby. It was in utter silence as they both sat there. Grandpa Naruto broke the silence. Hiruzen hummed in response. I don't think I can forgive them, Naruto started. I see. Hiruzen wasn't exactly surprised by the statement, but it still caught him off guard. Is that all? You don't care? Naruto questioned confusedly. That's not true at all, it's your decision, not mine. I will abide by what you wish, you deserve it after all. Hiruzen informed. I see, then what do you think I should do? Naruto asked carefully. That's a hard question, my boy, there is no wrong answer to that question, Hiruzen informed. Then what would you prefer I do? Naruto further questioned. Do you want my honest answer? Hiruzen asked. Please. Naruto answered seriously. Well then, the half of me that loves Kushina like my own daughter and as the Hokage says to always forgive, but the half of me that isn't clouded by my Hokage views and relationships thinks that you should give them a test. So, if I had to trust one of my sides I would say trust the latter, give them a test. Hiruzen responded calmly. A test? Naruto was clearly confused and curious. Not a regular test, just give them a time limit, and if they don't fix what they did by then, well, then do what you were going to do. Leave them behind if you must. But this way, if they don't try and fix what they did or even see what they did and they stay oblivious to everything, then you will not feel bad about your answer. Hiruzen responded wisely. I think I'll do that, Grandpa. Naruto seemed clearly happier with that idea. Then do it, it's as simple as that. Give them a time limit, and if they don't fix it by then forget about them. Start new. As much as it hurt Hiruzen to say something that would ultimately crush Kushina if she failed, he knew it had to be done. Whatever happened now is on Kushina. Thank you, I'm gonna do that. I already know how long they have to. Naruto responded as he steeled his eyes and looked towards the moon. But now keep that in your mind until the time comes. Now get to bed. I am going to train you into the ground tomorrow. Hiruzen informed the boy as he stood up from his seat. Alright, night, Gramps. Naruto got up after that and walked towards his designated room. Good night, Naruto. Hiruzen looked at Naruto's retreating form one last time with one last thought. I hope you don't mess this chance up, Kushina, but I'll have faith in you for now. Hopefully, Hiruzen thought faithfully. Sadly, faith isn't enough for this problem, and not all things end happily. A few weeks later, Hiruzen Sarutobi wasn't in the best of moods at the moment. The attacks with the mob claiming they were cleansing this world of a demon got more and more frequent and more torturous. They officially instated the Anbu operative known as Weasel, or better known as Itachi Uchiha, on Naruto to protect him and keep him out of trouble, but sadly, even Itachi had other Anbu commitments at the same time, and there would always be a mission he would be forced to take, as he was one of the only Anbu operatives capable in taking it. In those times of absence, Hiruzen would play somebody else on Naruto, and on most occasions the Anbu operative Panther would volunteer himself for the job. That in itself shocked many. Why? Because Panther was rarely seen doing anything but the bare minimum for a mission. Don't get me wrong, he never did a bad job, he simply only did what was necessary, never slacked off or got distracted. He simply did his job and did it well. He never really left the Anbu headquarters, unless he was on a mission either. So, when he volunteered for this, the Anbu around at the moment all gawked at him. Hiruzen was shocked too when he heard the request, but nevertheless smiled and allowed it. But why was Hiruzen mad at this very moment? Because of none other than Kushina Uzumaki. She didn't necessarily do anything bad, simply she was being immature. Hiruzen himself couldn't think of the word. He sent a few letters already to tell her about how Naruto was, as she made sure she would get them every now and then. But the old Hokage never went into detail in these messages. Why? It's quite simple actually, Naruto asked him not to. Why? The answer made Hiruzen once again nod his head in acceptance, as Naruto was clearly too mature for his age. If she doesn't fix her mistakes and waits until it's too late after something major happens, then I don't want her to. She clearly doesn't care if she won't help before it gets too late. That was the simple reply that Hiruzen couldn't help but nod his head in agreeance to. The messages Hiruzen wrote were basically saying, Kushina, I strongly suggest you come home. Naruto isn't in the best of states right now, and I think you should help before it gets too late. But Kushina didn't even waver in her replies. All she said would be something like, oh come on you old goat. You should know he's just getting a little mommy sick and he will be better soon. Don't send me messages unless there is absolutely an emergency. I don't want to have to tell you I'm going to stay on this trip until we finish every time. Hiruzen was starting to doubt the little faith he placed in Kushina once he kept seeing those messages. He didn't even tell her how Naruto threw himself headfirst into training and was excelling at a scary speed that he only saw in a few individuals, those individuals being Kakashi Hatake, Itachi Uchiha, and last but not least Naruto's very own father, Minato Namikaze. Why wouldn't Hiruzen tell Kushina? Because knowing her she would say something along the lines of, what, you can't do that. Nobody's allowed to train Naruto until I get back. I'm going to be the one to train him. I am the only one who can train him. Kushina didn't show it, but she did want to train Naruto. It was just in her own utterly retarded way of logic. And Hiruzen literally yelled to hell with that. As he thought about that answer, she messed up enough, and Naruto was now his own person. He could do what he wanted to, and who was he to stop a young prodigy? But Hiruzen couldn't help but cringe as he remembered the one incident that actually opened his eyes completely to how utterly fucked the situation was. Flashback. It was about a week or two after Kushina and Mito left to train, and Naruto wasn't sitting by idly and lamenting. No. He was diving face first into his training. He already knew the advanced academy forms of Taijutsu from his time before with Hiruzen when Kushina refused to train him, so now Hiruzen thought he could start to learn chakra control exercises and hopefully polish his already known skills before he learned anything too advanced. But now we see Hiruzen making his way back to his house after a long, very long day in the Hokage's office. When he left at the early hour of 7 AM, Naruto was already up and training his heart out. Hiruzen couldn't think of anything but going home and resting his old bones and hopefully finding something good on TV or read one of his not-so-kid-friendly books. But all of those thoughts immediately vanished from his mind as he entered the Saratobi compound and saw Naruto in the same exact spot as when he left, still training his heart out. Normally that wouldn't shock the old Hokage, but as he saw the scene he immediately saw something he shouldn't see. Blood. Punch. Kick. Duck. Flip. Repeat. Flip. Dodge. Kick. Jump. Kunai. Repeat. Like a robot, Naruto repeated time after time, completely entranced in his training. He was completely zoning out the outside world. So, in that moment of not understanding what was happening outside of his own training, Naruto didn't notice his hands and knuckles completely torn open, almost gushing blood. No, not almost gushing, they were gushing blood. There were blood splotches around Naruto that could only be created if Naruto didn't stop training and kept training even though he was bleeding. It wasn't a lot of blood in the sense they were in the shinobi world, but that much blood for a 7-year-old. Exactly. Hiruzen would later realize this was because the fox inside of Naruto helped Naruto regenerate the lost blood and in the end, didn't make him collapse from blood loss. Naruto. Hiruzen yelled as he rushed to Naruto's side. Nothing came from Naruto as he repeated his attack on wooden training dummy that now had blood and gashes all of it. Naruto. Stop. Hiruzen got closer. Naruto narrowed his eyes and leaped as high as his small 7-year-old body would take him, and he twisted and sent a crushing kick to the dummy's head. Enough. Hiruzen roared as he grabbed Naruto's wrist and held it there. But the one thing Hiruzen failed to see beforehand, he now saw, and he was shocked to say the least. Naruto was crying. His eyes were bloodshot and puffy. And seemingly Naruto's mind numbed all of his pain so he wouldn't feel anything. What happened, Naruto? Hiruzen softened as he saw Naruto's tears, but nevertheless needed to get to the bottom of whatever happened. It hurts, Grandpa, Naruto explained as clutched his chest. What hurts, Naruto? Now Hiruzen was getting even more worried, thinking something gravely bad happened to Naruto. My chest, my heart, it hurts, Naruto further explained as he looked up at his grandfather figure. Then why are you training? You should have come to me immediately. Hiruzen chastised slightly. Because it hurts if I don't train. If I train the pain goes away. If I'm alone and don't train I think of them. I think of Kachan. I think of everything and it hurts. But when I train I feel better. Naruto exclaimed. Oh, Naruto. Hiruzen brought Naruto into a hug. Grandpa, am I in trouble? Are you going to make me quit training? Naruto asked frightfully. No, Naruto. Then what? Train your heart out if you must. Naruto looked up at the old Hokage with his soul-piercing ocean blue eyes and did his best to smile at him. Thank you, Grandpa. No problem, but if I see you training to the point it will stunt your growth or permanently injure you, I won't even hesitate for a second to stop you. Okay. Hiruzen told him. Okay. But now let's go inside and clean up, I'll teach you something cool tomorrow. Hiruzen ruffled the boy's hair as he started making his way inside. God, it's worse than I thought, Hiruzen thought to himself as he realized what Naruto was doing. Whether he was doing this subconsciously or consciously, he was literally killing off his family. Hiruzen realized what Naruto was doing is only shown when a shinobi loses a loved one or a close comrade on the battlefield. They would normally drown themselves in missions and training and always needed to have somebody else there so they wouldn't completely lose themselves in their thoughts. The most notable case would be Kakashi Haddock after the loss of his final team member and his sensei Minato Namikaze. After that he almost immediately entered the Anbu and went on mission after mission, not even caring for the pay he got for it. All he needed was to keep his mind off of everything else. And that was what Naruto was doing right now. It truly scared Hiruzen. Naruto was changing and maturing and forcing out all other thoughts. And he was doing this at the age of 7 and at a rapid pace. I fear it's too late for you, Kushina, after all you are literally going to be dead to him if you don't fix things, soon Hiruzen thought as he entered his house with Naruto in tow. From then on Naruto would continue to train and Hiruzen rarely ever left him alone. He always either had a shadow clone at his office or with Naruto. But this train of thought from Naruto helped him in the long run as he once again excelled in his training. End of flashback. The third Hokage was now sitting in his office awaiting the meeting he was scheduled to have with none other than one of his Anbu captains. That specific Anbu captain was probably the most elusive Anbu member in the entire Anbu combined. Lord Hokage. An Anbu with a panther mask appeared out of the shadows. Oh? I'm guessing this is quite serious if you have to address me formally. Hiruzen sipped on his tea as he looked at the Anbu agent. Well, it's a formal request or an idea one could say. Panther explained. Then explain. Hiruzen replied. It's about a new way of training Anbu. Panther started but was quickly interrupted. Declined. You know as well as me that our Anbu regiment is already borderline. We went over this with Danzo and his root Anbu. If we screw up our working Anbu program, who knows how else we are going to completely screw up somebody's mind. Already we have to station a Yamanaka on every agent to make sure they don't go insane. Hiruzen didn't hesitate in the slightest with his response. Ugh. Let me explain better. That was a poor choice in words. Not a different training program, just a different mindset. As of right now, whether you admit it or not, you are training and want your Anbu to be elite killing machines that don't pay any mind to their emotions while on missions. Now maybe you don't do it to the same extent as Danzo, but nevertheless it's the same idea. Panther explained, getting a nod of agreement from the third Hokage. Continue. Hiruzen was getting curious now. Okay, so you want to train your Anbu to think village first and family, and all of that is after the village, correct? That is the idea. What if instead of that mindset we let them have a family first or loved ones first mindset and we don't really try to necessarily try and change their mindset? Panther voiced his idea. And why do you think that's a good idea? Hiruzen clearly wasn't impressed. Well, think about it this way. If your family loves the village or your loved ones love the village, wouldn't you want to do everything in your power to protect what they love? And from my personal experiences, the ninjas who have more emotions in most not all circumstances, they tend to grow stronger and faster at a rapid pace. Whether they do it to protect themselves or their family, some even grow strong and strive in battle because they don't want to die because they have family and loved ones to return to. Panther explained. And if their families don't like Konoha? Or hold a grudge against us? The Hokage voiced his concerns. Oh please. You know as well as me that we don't instate any shinobi into the Anbu if they have a vendetta against Konoha or they had a past experience against Konoha. I know, but I fear somebody like that could mess up the entire Anbu and their Anbu ways. Hiruzen spoke truthfully. Okay, think about this, you want your Anbu to show more emotion outside of work and to make sure they aren't exactly emotionless machines like Danzo's route, right? Panther inquired. Yes, outside of work that is. Then if we introduce somebody like that, he could help with that. It will be a refresher to them around the Anbu headquarters when they aren't on a mission. In theory that would work, but on missions that person would only get in the way. Not really. Explain. You know how the greatest ninjas out there have two personalities? One for when they are in combat and one when they are with friends and family. Panther asked. Yes, I'm going to help form a ninja like that. One able to kill of his emotions in a heartbeat, but at the same time he keeps his emotions and knows what to fight for. And he knows what to fight specifically for, like his family or friends, not something as broad as the village, because whether you like it or not, everyone has somebody in this village that either they don't like or they are disliked by them. Panther explained. Like I said, in theory this is a great idea, but a ninja who can do that isn't easy to come by. Okay, before you finish that, let me add this. Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha are probably some of the strongest shinobi the world will ever see. Agreed. Agreed. Hiruzen responded. And guess what? What? Their fuel to get that strong was their love for their family and everyone they loved. Panther explained. No, Hiruzen was quickly cut off again. Don't be a hypocrite, Hiruzen. You love the entire village like your family, right? Yes. Hashirama was even more so. Shouldn't we keep with the village first mindset then? Hiruzen asked this, but even he was starting to see Panther's point. No, you cannot force your love and ideals for the village and its inhabitants onto others. They have to learn to love it themselves. Now, I'm not saying if we go through with this plan they will love the village like Hashirama or you, but they will at least put their loved ones first and have their own fuel to protect the village. And if this goes well, we will probably even increase the success rate of mission and lower the casualty rate. Think about it, Brotherhood will be stronger with this. Panther informed. You aren't going to stop pushing this idea, are you? Hiruzen sighed and put his face down to his hands on his desk. Is it a bad idea? Panther asked seriously. No, just Hiruzen was clearly having doubts. One kid. Panther stated out of nowhere. Excuse me. All I need is one kid to be my apprentice. Hell. I'll even take an orphan to make you happier. Panther informed. Fine. You get one kid, but make sure to check with me before you start anything. Obviously. Panther spoke clearly relieved and happier. Now get back to work, I have plenty of paperwork that needs signing. Hiruzen shooed the Anbu agent away as he continued his work. Hiruzen couldn't exactly deny the request when Panther said he would personally take on an apprentice. After all, Panther never spoke with, let alone trained anyone if he truly didn't need to. So that alone showed how serious he was. Hiruzen simply sighed and leaned back on his chair. I have a feeling I'm not going to like who he picks. Hiruzen spoke to himself quietly. A few weeks later, torture. Torture was what was happening to Naruto the past 2 months. From his mental health to his physical health, everything was being tortured. At first it was all mental from all of his pain and agony, finally erupting after all those years of keeping it locked away. But the seal broke and it all flooded out like a tidal wave. Then it was the fox hunts. Beating after beating, it never relented. Hiruzen saw this and placed Itachi Uchiha as Naruto's bodyguard from the shadow, but that only made it worse. The longer it took to have a fox hunt, the worse the beatings would get. At first Naruto could run away or beat the villagers himself thanks to his training, but that soon ended. They got more Jonins to join and help them capture the bastard son of the fourth Hokage. Don't get me wrong, Naruto never once let the pain get to him. But don't get this wrong either, he didn't accept the pain, no, he embraced it. Now that may seem like a little much for a 7-year-old, but in reality, Naruto was already mentally older than that. And as long as Hiruzen trained him and still cared for him, he wouldn't mind the pain. That doesn't mean he won't try and get out of the torture sessions though. Like right now, Naruto is running as fast as he can, leaping over bounds literally and figuratively to get away from the mob behind him. No, 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 no. Naruto kept speaking to himself as he rounded another corner. Today was one of those days that Naruto dreaded the most. He was due another beating or torture, whatever you wanted to call it, and he was 2.5 weeks due one, so that meant he was in for a bad one today. Come on, come on, come on. Faster, faster, faster. Naruto kept telling himself so fast it was starting to sound like a chant. Naruto never did get how the Hokage could arrest so many people, yet they kept coming, and they only got worse and worse, never running out of time, people, nor energy. Don't mess up. Don't mess up. Naruto yelled to himself as he burst forward using all of his energy, trying to gain that extra bit of speed for what he was about to do. In front of him was a dead end. Yet this time he wasn't as scared like he used to be. Why? Because he was a ninja now, he could climb walls. He leaped onto the wall. One step. Good. Another step. Better. 2 more steps. Closer to escape. Yes. Naruto cheered to himself as he was about to be home free. He was a few steps away, no, 1 leap away. But things were never that easy for Naruto. Naruto broke out into a full-blown smile. And with one action his entire world crashed down before him. Somebody grabbed the back of his jacket. And with one powerful yank he was sent sailing down to the ground below. As soon as Naruto hit the ground, all the air from his lungs was knocked out of him. He gasped for air as soon as he possibly could, but as he looked up, the sky in front of him wasn't there, in its place was the mob. They grabbed him as soon as he got air into his lungs and held him down on his knees. You really thought you would get away that easy? We're different than you, we don't come unprepared, we learn from our mistakes. You're not getting away from us ever again, and lucky for you we're going to be getting revenge for the others you got fucking arrested. A villager snarled. Naruto couldn't do anything but stare in horror, bracing for whatever they had in store for him. It started normally, fists beat against him leaving him black-eyed, and the villagers cursing him, spitting on him and blaming him for things he didn't have any control over. But then something new was about to happen. Something much worse than normal. Oh? It looks like the little bastard actually got used to our beatings. The seemed-to-be leader spoke out. Yeah, you're right, make it worse. Kill him. Every remark was getting worse and worse. And then it happened. Naruto didn't have to be told what they were going to do to know what was about to befall him. Oh? This is so convenient. I think God himself has officially told us what to do. The leader yelled as he looked straight at a metal can that had a bomb fire inside of it that was probably used by some homeless man, considering it was late January at the time. The man walked toward the fire and pulled something out. A metal rod that was red hot at the end from the extreme temperatures in the fire. No. Naruto screamed louder than he ever has. Why don't we label the demon? So, all can know what he is. A fucking demon. A bastard son. The devil himself. The man yelled, causing cheers to erupt from the crowd. No. Please. Stop it please. Naruto continued to cry louder and louder. Now why should we? You're the one who took our families and loved ones, it's only fair you live a life of pain. The man snarled sadistically. I didn't. Please. Naruto yelled, hoping for a savior to hear him. Strip him, boys. The man commanded the ones holding him. And so, they tore off his shirt revealing his pale chest. Now let's put this right here. The man exclaimed as he narrowed and right onto Naruto's chest right under the collarbones. Ahhhh. Naruto screamed in pain and agony. The man used the blazing metal rod like a pencil, dragging the molten hot end on Naruto's skin, slowly melting the skin and muscle underneath. There. It's a masterpiece. The man looked at his work in glee. On Naruto's chest was devil written in big and bold letters. Naruto was going into shock from the pain. The last thing he heard was who's next. I think we need everyone to know he's the bastard son of the fourth too. Naruto's mindscape, it was pitch black, nothing but blackness for as far as the eye could see. This wasn't the first time Naruto's been here, but every time it's the same. It's quiet and peaceful. Nothing to bother him. It was just a place to get away. Naruto. A voice spoke from deep inside of the darkness, shocking Naruto quite a bit. Hawks. Naruto spoke, realizing what was happening. Yes, Naruto learned of what he had inside of him. After his mother and sister abandoned him, he had more time to think about things. He finally got a hunch about it where he then asked Hiruzen, and Hiruzen himself clarified it. It all made sense when he truly thought about it. Actually, it was a shame he didn't learn earlier. You're not surprised? The voice asked in a mildly surprised tone as 2 massive eyes with redder eyes and slit pupils asked. Not really. Naruto responded quite calmly. I see. A set of pearly white razor-sharp teeth shined through the darkness. How are you talking to me? I thought you couldn't do anything with me because your power is sealed inside of somebody else. I only have your worthless soul. Naruto asked, not caring if he offended a being that could probably destroy his entire village by sneezing. Watch your mouth. I will when you answer my question. TSK. Do you honestly think it would be that easy to simply seal my soul apart from my power? I am a force of nature. A demon. I can get my power back as simply as I want. I am a force of nature, therefore I get my power from nature. So by you simply walking around I gained my power back from the nature around you. The fox explained. I see, then why not escape my seal? Naruto asked curiously. It isn't a simple seal. If the Shinigami seals me into something, I'm stuck in there until my sealer releases me. The fox told the boy. Alright, enough of explaining. What do you want? Naruto clearly wasn't in the mood to talk to the fox. Excuse me? You should be happy I'm even talking to you. After all, I have the answer you're in need of. The answer? I don't need an answer, Naruto answered. Oh? You don't want to end the beatings? End the suffering that those fools in your village cause you? The fox taunted. I'm listening. Now Naruto was getting curious. I can give you the power to fight back. The fox told the boy, expecting him to jump for joy. The fox waited in glee as it expected Naruto to be ecstatic because of the offer. No, I don't want it. Naruto replied flatly. What? Why? The fox was clearly flabbergasted and then roared. Why would you willingly give me what I want? Obviously, you're going to get something out of this, and I don't feel like giving you something like that is a good idea. Naruto explained quite intelligently. You're smarter than I expected, but nevertheless. You mustn't worry about such things. The fox explained. Explain. Naruto commanded. Oh? Now I get your attention very well. Demons don't like being in anyone's debt. And as of right now I owe you. The fox informed the 7-year-old. How? I never did anything to you for you to be in my debt. Naruto asked cluelessly. It doesn't matter, I am the reason you are being tortured, am I correct? The fox explained. Yes, so then how can you help me? Naruto relented and asked. I can give you power but you will have to sacrifice something. The fox informed. What? You just said I basically deserve it and that I wouldn't need to do anything. I know, but I'm giving you the power for free, but you have to sacrifice something so I can actually give you the power, and with whatever body part you sacrifice will be turned into a demon's part. Like for example, if you gave me an arm it would be turned into a demon's arm. However, if you sacrificed your heart you would lose your humanity at the same time, but you would be turned into a demon. The fox explained. Naruto thought for a second, deciding if it was worth it, but he remembered something Hiruzen told him when he wanted to change. You can never become somebody else, you will always be you, even if you put a mask to hide your true self. All we can do as human beings is change and adapt, but our very natural selves will always be there and weigh down on our changed selves. So, I would say this to you. Don't become somebody else, no, adapt and become stronger, so you don't have to sacrifice yourself for something you don't want. And Naruto ended up taking that differently than what was originally intended. Was it bad? No. Deal. That's what I wanted to hear. So what part will it be? My heart. Naruto told the fox without flinching. What? I said I'll give you my heart. Naruto repeated. Hey, are you sure? That fast? You can't go back after I do the process. I'm sure. Naruto clarified. You can't take it back, but okay. You will probably be out for a few hours during the process. Luckily you are still a child and you still have to adapt and grow, so you will be fine turning into a demon. Okay, wait. Before I do this, can I ask some questions? I'm not backing out, I just want to clarify some things before I leave. I don't exactly know how long it will be until I talk to you again after all. Naruto said. Hire away. What will I gain from being a Hanyu or half demon? Other than the obvious traits like strength and speed and those basic things. Half demon? The fox asked, slightly entertained. Aren't I going to be a half demon? I mean, I'm a human, I wasn't born demon. Honey, please, as soon as you offered me your heart you were officially going to become a full demon. If you only sacrificed a limb or something like that, then I would say you would be a half demon, but a heart? I think not. The heart controls everything from your brain down to your chakra coils. Every fiber of muscle is somehow connected to your heart. So, by default, if your heart is a demon's, I know you're smart enough to know the answer. If my heart's a demon's heart, I have a complete demon's body, Naruto answered in realization. Bingo. Now to what traits you may gain. That's not a simple question. Every demon is turned into a specific class of demon, depending on what sins they are chosen by. The fox explained. Sins. The 7 deadly sins. Lust, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, pride, and gluttony. Every demon is placed into a class of demons depending on what sin you are. Usually every demon is chosen by 2 sins, and 3 is rare, 4 is almost unheard of. So, after you are a full demon I will check to see what sins you are, and once I do that I will clarify what characteristics or traits you gained from your sins. But other than that, you will get naturally stronger and faster and more resilient. But don't get me wrong, you will have to train like any other human, because you won't just magically gain the power, you will get a boost, that's for sure, but you still have to go through the regular growth cycles and training and discipline to truly become powerful. After all, that's how the strongest demons are made too. The fox explained. I see. Would you really give up your own power simply because you owe me something? I find that hard to believe, Naruto asked again. Ha! You really think I would give you my power if I wouldn't get it back? Here's a little advice, boy. Never, and I mean never, give somebody something that you cannot get back. Whether it's love or power, don't give people something you cannot get back. Then how am I getting it? Naruto asked confusedly. Okay, let me explain it simply. Imagine a tree, that tree is my power. Okay, I cut off a sapling and plant it somewhere else, that is your power. Okay, I will grow back my sapling, and the new sapling will prosper and grow, maybe even growing bigger than the original tree. So basically, I'm planting a seed without worrying about my own power. I will get it back in a few days. The fox finished explaining. I see. Is that all then? The fox asked. Yeah. Just make sure to see what sins I was chosen by. Next time we meet, I want to know everything I get from them and what class I am. Naruto exclaimed. Very well, now sleep. And Naruto fell straight asleep onto the black floor. A will-o-wisp of red mist flew towards Naruto and entered his mouth, nose, and eye sockets, causing him to flail around on the floor for a few moments before he finally calmed down. Now let's see what sins have chosen you, the fox muttered as it brought one of its paws out of the darkness and poked Naruto's forehead with its claw. No fucking way, the fox was clearly speechless. Ha 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 ha. The fox laughed so loud it could shake buildings from miles away if there were any. Back in the real world, the villagers were seconds away from carving a second name into Naruto's skin when he arrived. A lone Anbu stood at the tops of the building, staring down with utter disgust and hatred as he witnessed the scene he arrived to. Mark the bastard. The Anbu agent heard from down below. Finally, he had enough and saw the devil marking on Naruto's chest and noticed they were about to write something else. So, he walked to the edge. And fell. As he fell, a sword appeared out of a storage seal on his arm. He threw dozens of kunai and shuriken, killing multiple villagers instantly. And then he landed and immediately brought his sword down and around to finish everyone off. It was over before it even started. A massacre. A bloodbath. And the last thing the civilians and shinobi saw before they were brutally killed. A panther. Hospital. Naruto woke up feeling not so good. His body felt like it was on fire, his muscles were all extremely worn out and tired. Ugh, Naruto groaned as he sat up and noticed the bandages all over him. Bandages all over his chest and covering where he was marked, and bandages all over his limbs. I wouldn't move if I were you. A voice spoke out, alerting Naruto of his presence. Who are you? Naruto quickly asked. Me? You don't exactly deserve to know my name yet, just call me Panther like everyone else does. The unknown individual said as he walked out from the darkness. It was the Anbu agent. He wore the Anbu attire with a captain band on his left shoulder, his mask was on, it was a white mask with black markings obviously symbolizing a panther, and he had multiple fuinjutsu tattoos on his arms, probably for sealing weapons. Alright Mr. Panther, what do you want? Naruto asked cautiously. Well, I saved you from some villagers, so I should thank you then. Naruto bowed slightly from his hospital bed. That's not why I stayed here, though the man spoke calmly. Then why? How would you like to become stronger? The man asked seriously. What do you mean? Do you want to become stronger? It's a simple question. I will make you my apprentice for the time being if you wish to become stronger. The man explained. Naruto didn't answer immediately, he had to think. The Kyuubi's words kept ringing out to him. You will have to train like any other human, because you won't just magically gain the power, you will get a boost, that's for sure, but you still have to go through the regular growth cycles and training and discipline to truly become powerful. This was becoming too good to be true, was the thought going through Naruto's head at the moment. Normally he would be skeptical from a stranger offering something like this, but he knew the Anbu worked directly with the Hokage, and there was no way, and I mean no way, the Hokage would let anything bad happen to him. Deal. Naruto replied with a malicious grin on his face. Good. Prepare for the hardest training course you have ever faced. The panther-masked Anbu raised an eyebrow at the grin, but waved it off and simply looked at the boy in curiosity. Now how would he explain to the Hokage that the child he picked that was supposed to be an orphan was actually his grandson? That'll be fine. The man thought to himself. Chapter 2. Welcome to Anbu. Last time on Hey Gramps. Naruto entered the Hokage's office with the brightest smile that Hiruzen has ever seen on his face. Naruto, my boy. What brings you here today? The third Hokage chirped back innocently, even though he knew very well what today was. It's my birthday. I'm turning 7 today. Naruto exclaimed as he threw his hands up to make a statement. Oh. How could I forget? Hiruzen said sarcastically. Ahoo. Naruto confirmed. So? What's so different about today instead of your other birthdays? If I remember correctly, you were never a big fan of your last few birthdays. Hiruzen inquired. Well, today is special because Naruto started to get extremely hyper and started mumbling to himself, which made the Hokage smile. Because? Hiruzen questioned. Because now Kachan can start training me. I'm finally 7. She promised me once I turned 7 she would teach me in the ninja arts and everything. And I can finally learn how to use her cool chain thingies too. Naruto cheered as he jumped around the room, mimicking the cool ninja moves he saw as he watched some Jonin senseis teach their genin squads. At that simple statement, Hiruzen almost broke down. He visibly flinched as he heard those words. So who's ready presents? Kushina exclaimed out of nowhere, causing both of the children to look up from their bowl with sparkles in their eyes. Me? The twins both yelled at the same time, causing Kushina to giggle slightly at their enthusiasm. Alright. Then wait here and I'll bring them out. Kushina then got up from her seat in the living room where they were all situated and walked to her bedroom. The twins both waited patiently yet excitedly for their mother to return. And out came their mother with one box. It was wrapped neatly with orange wrapping paper. Here you go, Naru. Kushina gently laid the box that was as tall as Naruto, yet as thin as a few inches. Thanks, Kachan. Naruto quickly thanked his mother as he tore open the present. Inside the wrapping was a simple wooden box. Once he opened the box he marveled at what he saw. The sword. Naruto was in awe. The hilt was simple red with a golden guard, while the sheath was red with golden markings, like it was of a golden dragon wrapping around the sheath. What about me, Mom? Mito asked with big eyes. You, my dear. Kushina stopped for dramatic effect. Naruto and Mito both listened intently. Are going on a training trip with me? Kushina exclaimed happily. Yay. Mito jumped and pumped her fist in the air just like how Kushina does. Awesome. Kachan, when are we leaving? This time Naruto added. Oh Naruto, sorry, but it's just going to be me and Mito on this trip. Kushina was quick to explain. What? Naruto asked in confusion and shock. Yeah, I have to teach more stuff to Mito before I can start on your training. So, on the trip I have to be really devoted to Mito and Mito alone to make sure she is prepared and ready. Kushina continued to explain. But you said once I was 7 that you would train me. You promised. Naruto asked dreadfully. I know, but don't worry. Once I'm back you will be big enough to wield that sword and I can teach you everything I know. You and Mito will be the best swordsman and swordswoman in all of the elemental nations. Kushina was quick to answer as she noticed Naruto lose all the light in his eyes. Oh, Naruto said sadly, the one thing that was promised to him. The one thing that kept him going and made him not care about being ignored and neglected with training. The promise. Was it ever wise for him to believe in it? Obviously not. The promise was broken. And once again he was the only one hurt and Kushina and Mito got everything good out of the deal. How long is your training trip going to be? Naruto asked quietly. A few years. I honestly don't know, at the least 3 years I would say, but even that is a big if. Kushina answered with a finger to her chin and thought. Naruto didn't answer to that, just fell deeper into despair. Alright Mito. Go pack your bags, we are leaving tomorrow morning immediately. Kushina exclaimed cheerfully. All I ever wanted was you to teach me. I don't want a stupid sword, I wanted you to train me, show me the same attention, the same love, but no, I was foolish to ever expect anything else. I'm simply the bastard son, the demon, the unwanted. Naruto spoke barely audible. Kushina and Mito just looked over at him confusedly as he clutched the blade in his hand and looked into his reflection on the blade. Naruto. Are you okay? Kushina asked worriedly. He didn't want the stupid blade. He didn't want anything but for her to keep her promise. He simply stared down at his new sword. And as slowly as he could he closed the blade and put it back into its box and sealed it back up. This in itself shocked Kushina. She pretty much expected to have to scold Naruto for playing with his new sword inside the house. Naruto. Kushina was completely thrown out of the loop, she didn't know what happened. Naruto stood up with his hair shadowing both of his eyes. I'm fine, Kachan. Don't worry about it. Both Kushina and Mito sat there wide-eyed at the scene before them. Naruto stood there with the widest smile across his face. But that isn't what shocked them. Tears, so many tears were streaming down his face as he smiled at them. It was uncomfortable to say the least. No child should be able to give such a broken expression. And so, with a never-ending amount of tears streaming from his eyes down his face, sometimes going into his mouth so he tasted the salty liquid, he turned around and walked towards the stairs so he could go to his room. Naruto. Kushina called out so he would come back after she got over the initial shock. Mom, I'm tired, I played with my friends a lot this morning, so I just want to be alone and sleep. Naruto didn't even give her time to answer before he slowly walked up the stairs. Oh okay. Kushina for once was completely clueless as to what just happened or what she should do. Naruto walked into his room upstairs and closed the door softly. There was a brief moment of silence. And then he broke down. Grandpa Naruto broke the silence that permeated the room illuminated by the night sky. Hiruzen hummed in response. I don't think I can forgive them, Naruto started. I see. Hiruzen wasn't exactly surprised by the statement, but it still caught him off guard. Is that all? You don't care? Naruto questioned confusedly. That's not true at all, it's your decision, not mine. I will abide by what you wish, you deserve it after all. Hiruzen informed. I see, then what do you think I should do? Naruto asked carefully. That's a hard question, my boy, there is no wrong answer to that question, Hiruzen informed. Then what would you prefer I do? Naruto further questioned. Do you want my honest answer? Hiruzen asked. Please. Naruto answered seriously. Well then, the half of me that loves Kushina like my own daughter and as the Hokage says to always forgive, but the half of me that isn't clouded by my Hokage views and relationships thinks that you should give them a test. So, if I had to trust one of my sides, I would say trust the latter, give them a test. Hiruzen responded calmly. A test? Naruto was clearly confused and curious. Not a regular test, just give them a time limit, and if they don't fix what they did by then, well then do what you were going to do. Leave them behind if you must. But this way, if they don't try and fix what they did or even see what they did and they stay oblivious to everything, then you will not feel bad about your answer. Hiruzen responded wisely. I think I'll do that, Grandpa. Naruto seemed clearly happier with that idea. Naruto. A voice spoke from deep inside of the darkness, shocking Naruto quite a bit. Hawks. Naruto spoke, realizing what was happening. You're not surprised? The voice asked in a mildly surprised tone as two massive eyes with redder eyes and slit pupils asked. Not really. Naruto responded quite calmly. I see. A set of pearly white razor-sharp teeth shined through the darkness. How are you talking to me? I thought you couldn't do anything with me because your power is sealed inside of somebody else. I only have your worthless soul. Naruto asked, not caring if he offended a being that could probably destroy his entire village by sneezing. Watch your mouth. I will when you answer my question. TSK. Do you honestly think it would be that easy to simply seal my soul apart from my power? I am a force of nature. A demon. I can get my power back as simply as I want. I am a force of nature, therefore I get my power from nature. So by you simply walking around, I gained my power back from the nature around you. The fox explained. I see, then why not escape my seal? Naruto asked curiously. It isn't a simple seal. If the Shinigami seals me into something, I'm stuck in there until my sealer releases me. The fox told the boy. Alright, enough of explaining. What do you want? Naruto clearly wasn't in the mood to talk to the fox. Excuse me? You should be happy I'm even talking to you, after all I have the answer you're in need of. The answer? I don't need an answer, Naruto answered. Oh? You don't want to end the beatings? End the suffering that those fools in your village cause you? The fox taunted. I'm listening. Now Naruto was getting curious. I can give you the power to fight back. The fox told the boy, expecting him to jump for joy. The fox waited in glee as it expected Naruto to be ecstatic because of the offer. No, I don't want it. Naruto replied flatly. What? Why? The fox was clearly flabbergasted and then roared. Why would you willingly give me what I want? Obviously, you're going to get something out of this, and I don't feel like giving you something like that is a good idea. Naruto explained quite intelligently. You're smarter than I expected, but nevertheless. You mustn't worry about such things. The fox explained. Explain. Naruto commanded. Oh? Now I get your attention very well. Demons don't like being in anyone's debt. And as of right now I owe you. The fox informed the 7-year-old. How? I never did anything to you for you to be in my debt. Naruto asked cluelessly. It doesn't matter, I am the reason you are being tortured, am I correct? The fox explained. Yes, so then how can you help me? Naruto relented and asked. I can give you power but you will have to sacrifice something. The fox informed. What? You just said I basically deserve it and that I wouldn't need to do anything. I know, but I'm giving you the power for free, but you have to sacrifice something so I can actually give you the power, and with whatever body part you sacrifice will be turned into a demon's part. Like for example, if you gave me an arm, it would be turned into a demon's arm. However, if you sacrificed your heart, you would lose your humanity at the same time, but you would be turned into a demon. The fox explained. Deal. That's what I wanted to hear. So what part will it be? My heart. Naruto told the fox without flinching. End of recap. A few days after chapter 1, Hokage's office. 3 people could be seen inside the office at this point in time. One was a child no older than 7 or 8, the second was a fairly tall Anbu operative wearing a white mask with black markings signifying a panther, and the last person was the Hokage himself. And so Naruto was standing on the right of the panther operative facing the old Hokage, who was on the opposite side of the desk in his chair. Hiruzen clearly looked tired and stressed out, while Naruto looked sheepish, and the panther operative stood defiant, yet no expression was visible because of his mask. So you're telling me that the orphan you wanted to be your apprentice and bring into Anbu is my own grandson, who may I say certainly is not an orphan. Hiruzen yelled incredulously at the nerve of this Anbu operative. Yes. The Anbu operative answered cautiously. No. The answer is no. Hiruzen answered firmly. But Hiruzen. Panther tried to say. No. I will not put him into that. If he wants to when he's older then I won't stop him, but definitely not right now. Hiruzen declared forcefully. Naruto simply stood there in awkward silence until he had a thought come to mind. Hiruzen, you know how the village treats him. Itachi and I can't always watch him. It already shows when we aren't there to protect him. A few days ago, as soon as I got there it was already too late. I mean they scared the boy the fuck's sake. I know you have seen his chest. Panther protested fervently. Yes, but Hiruzen saw the Anbu operative's point. Then why not? I will have him report to you whenever you want and you can call him for physical and mental checkups whenever you feel necessary. Panther reasoned. It's not that simple, Panther, Hiruzen said softly as he saw how strongly the Anbu operative felt about this. No, I think it is Hiruzen. Okay, look. You know how I am, I have never once questioned your orders and I have never done anything against your wishes. So please just trust me on this. Panther begged. Hiruzen simply sighed and turned towards Naruto. Naruto, is this what you want? Hiruzen asked kindly. Yes, you can't always train me because you're the Hokage and have to work, so this way I won't bother you and I can still get training, Naruto answered meekly as he was now in the spotlight. I see, well thank you for thinking that way, Naruto, but you are not a bother so you don't have to worry about that. Hiruzen answered. But you are busy. Indeed I am, you would be correct on that one. Hiruzen sighed and leaned back on his chair. The real problem is your mother, Naruto. Hiruzen informed the duo. What? Why? Naruto asked, slightly annoyed. I will have to ask her to sign a few papers to allow you to enter Anbu. No. She won't allow me. You know she never wanted to train me. Why would she ever want me to learn from Anbu? Naruto exclaimed. Naruto, that's not why. Hiruzen tried to stop Naruto from thinking that way, but was interrupted. No, Hiruzen, you are forgetting something important. Panther cut in. And what is that? Hiruzen raised an eyebrow. If Naruto was a legal adult then he wouldn't need to ask for his parent or guardian's permission. Panther informed the Hokage and Naruto. How would I do that, Mr. Panther? Naruto asked as he looked up towards the Anbu operative. You would take the Ninja Academy graduation exam and if you pass then you become a legal adult along with being a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village. Panther explained to Naruto. So that's how Itachi graduated early. Naruto brought his hand to his chin and thought. Indeed, that's also how Kakashi and your father graduated. Hiruzen piped in. Grandpa, can I take it? Naruto asked seriously. Hiruzen sighed and leaned back once again in his chair seemingly in thought. Please, Grandpa. Naruto asked again. Naruto, you know I really don't want you to do this, Hiruzen informed the boy. Grandpa, I know, but I have done everything all my life like how you or my mother wanted and now I want to do this, so I am sorry, but this is what I want, Naruto answered firmly. Hiruzen smiled at the boy before he spoke again. Very well. Panther, go get an academy instructor and bring them here. Naruto, you stay here with me. Hiruzen ordered and soon after the Anbu agent bowed and left in a shunshin. Thank you, Gramps. Naruto bowed slightly towards the Hokage. It is nothing, Naruto, I'm quite proud of you actually. Hiruzen informed the boy. Proud? I thought you didn't want me to do this. Naruto asked curiously. I didn't, but you are going against what others want and forging your own path. That is what I want you to do. That is what you want to do. And for that I am proud of you. Hiruzen explained. I see, Naruto hummed in understanding. Now I will have to tell you that I am going to be informing your mother that you are dropping out of the Ninja Academy. Hiruzen added as he saw Naruto sit down on the couch across the room. What? But I'm not dropping out, I'm graduating. Naruto wasn't angry, just confused. Well, when you graduate early you are basically taken out of the academy early to be put on a team or in your case be put as an apprentice in the Anbu. But it's classified as dropping out, something about it being easier for the academy that way. Hiruzen explained. I see, just don't tell her about Anbu please, Naruto asked politely. I wouldn't dare, Lord knows she wouldn't let you know. Parent would actually. Hiruzen accepted just as Panther returned with the academy instructor in tow. I have brought him, Lord Hokage. Panther returned to his stoic demeanor as there was somebody else now in the room. Thank you, Panther, you may wait on the couch as we do this. Panther simply nodded and walked into the corner where he disappeared into the shadows. Lord Hokage. What is it do you want? Am I in trouble? The man asked. The man had black hair that went to his shoulders and a pair of glasses that covered his brown eyes. He wore a standard Chunin uniform and has wrapping all over his arms. Anne. This guy isn't important, no need to remember him. Ah yes. I guess he didn't tell you. You are going to examining Naruto here for the Ninja Academy graduation ceremony and I will be your witness. Hiruzen explained, shocking the academy instructor, but nonetheless he abided. Right now? Yes, right now. Alright, and so the instructor brought out a written test from a storage scroll in his flak jacket and handed it to Naruto, who immediately grabbed a pen from the Hokage's desk and started filling out the answers. After about 20 minutes Naruto put his pen down, signaling he was finished. Soon after the instructor asked Naruto to perform the 3 academy jutsus. First was the substitution technique, then was the henge, and finally, Naruto had to create a perfect clone. He performed every jutsu perfectly. Now Naruto was sitting on the couch waiting for the instructor finish grading the exam. It was an awkward silence as Hiruzen smoked from his pipe and Naruto fidgeted on the couch from nervousness. Alright, I am done grading the test. The instructor informed the group. Good. Now what is the result? Hiruzen asked as he put down his pipe. Well, as you saw, the practical exam was perfect, the problem was the written exam. The results aren't what we really want, but he did pass. He got through barely on the written exam, but that's to be expected considering he's well so young, the instructor told the trio. Yes. Naruto fell back on the couch, obviously happy and relieved. Alright, that is all. I will get young Naruto here a headband. All I need you to do is inform the front desk so they can put Naruto here into the system and classify him as a legal adult. Hiruzen explained to the instructor. Right away, Lord Hokage. Is that all? The instructor asked as he bowed towards Hiruzen. No, that is all, you are dismissed. Hiruzen then ushered him towards the door. As soon as the instructor left the room, Panther came out of the shadows once again. So may I have Naruto as my apprentice? The Panther operative asked. Yes, permission granted, Hiruzen sighed. Good, Naruto, go home and pack your bags. I will pick you up as soon as I am done here. The Panther operative commanded Naruto, who jumped up slightly. Pack my bags? Naruto asked confusingly. All Anbu must live in the Anbu HQ if they do not have housing of their own, and that is where I am living and am in charge of. Panther explained. But I have housing, Naruto informed the Anbu operative. I know that, but if you are going to be my apprentice, I must be able to see you 24/7, and you are being trained to be Anbu, so it's time to get used to it. Now no more questions, I have to talk to Lord Hokage before we go. Panther then ushered Naruto out the door. As soon as Naruto was out of the door, the room dropped several degrees. Alright, I'm guessing you have more questions for me? Panther asked seriously. I have one question and many warnings. Hiruzen dropped all loving emotion he had when Naruto was around and turned stone cold. Then fire away. Why Naruto? Out of everyone in the village, why Naruto? Hiruzen asked, searching for any sign of emotion coming from the Anbu operative. I honestly don't know. You don't know? Hiruzen asked incredulously. I just feel pulled towards him, that's all. I'm intrigued by him, I could say. Panther answered truthfully. Ugh, fine, I am warning you, and these aren't warnings because of Kushina, no, these are warnings because I love Naruto like my own grandson, and you better protect that child from anything until he is capable enough to protect himself. But that doesn't mean baby him. Hiruzen explained to the Panther Anbu operative. Obviously, do you have any advice for his training? Only considering you have been training him in your free time. Panther asked. Ugh, as you may have figured out, Naruto is just like his father, a prodigy. But as for training, throw him headfirst into it and he will pick himself up and get it down in no time. Also, do you remember when he had a breakdown? When he trained himself to death after Kushina and Mito left? Hiruzen asked seriously. Yes, then you know to beware of idle time. Because he thinks way too much. Keep him busy, whether it's missions, work, or training, keep him busy. I have helped him a little bit so he's not as bad as before, but he still isn't perfect. Got it? I will help him fix that. Is that all? Panther asked. One last thing, help Naruto become something else, a god amongst men. I know he has the potential to surpass his father, and me already. Lord knows what we will create if you can train and help him correctly. You are dismissed. Hiruzen told the operative. Hiruzen could have sworn if Panther didn't have a mask on he would have seen a grin full of anticipation as he disappeared into the shadows. Kushina, you better figure it out, you messed up by now, or figure it out from this. Hiruzen spoke to himself as he brought out a scroll and a pen and started to write. Anbu HQ. Naruto and Panther appeared in the Anbu headquarters and immediately Naruto was like a kid in a candy store. He never saw so many Anbu in one place. It was a military-style building. One side of the building was full of dorms and other living necessities such as bathrooms, kitchens, etc. The remaining side was full of a few massive training grounds and office buildings and mission headquarters. Follow me, you will be next to my room. Panther spoke in his normal monotone as he started walking towards the dorm hallway. Oh, okay. Naruto quickly followed after him. As they were noticing, Naruto couldn't help but see the stares and glances the other Anbu operatives were throwing towards himself and Panther. They were all full of curiosity and confusion, and none of them were full of hate or disgust. We're here. Panther brought Naruto out of his thoughts as they stopped in front of dorm room number 17. Dorm room number 17, which one is your room? Naruto asked as he looked at the door. It was reinforced oak wood with a silencing seal placed on the top. I'm in number 18 now, go and get situated, we will start training tomorrow. Try not to annoy too many people, after all I am in charge of you, and if you have any questions come find me. I am a captain though, so don't expect me to be with you 24/7, I only have so much time off from Lord Hokage for the apprenticeship, but that doesn't mean I'm free completely. Panther then opened up his own dorm and walked in, leaving Naruto with a set of keys. Wait. What time tomorrow? Naruto asked hurriedly. You'll know when. Was the only answer he got. Was this really a good idea? Naruto spoke to himself as he walked into his dorm. His dorm was bigger than he expected, to say the least. It was basically a studio apartment. There was an open kitchen with a bar counter covering it from the rest of the room, and a bed on the far side of the room with a dresser in front of it and a desk with a light and seat to the side of it. Between the kitchen and bed was a couch facing a TV on the wall and a coffee table between the couch and TV. The walls were all pale blue and gray, giving it a plain color palette. There wasn't a window, considering the Anbu HQ was supposed to be a secret building. If you look 10 feet to the left of the TV, you would see a hallway that led to 2 closets and a bathroom. My guess, home sweet home, Naruto spoke to himself as he placed his 2 duffel bags full of his things on the couch. Almost immediately after putting his things down, he leaped into the air onto his new bed. Holy crap, this is a cloud, Naruto spoke to himself as he slowly drifted to sleep. Later that day, Naruto slowly started to wake up, not realizing he actually fell asleep. As soon as he looked at the small alarm clock next to his bed, he saw that it said 8:23 p.m. Oh crap. I haven't even explored this place yet. Naruto spoke to himself as he jumped out of bed, still in his clothes from earlier that day. And so Naruto quickly left the room and started his journey through the Anbu HQ. Naruto first looked at the training grounds and saw a few people sparring with each other in taijutsu and kinjutsu, then he saw an Anbu operative meditating in the middle of a lake with a cyclone of water swirling around them. As Naruto stood there in awe in front of the window watching the training ground, he didn't see a certain masked individual approaching him from behind. Ooh. The masked person grabbed the unsuspecting Naruto from behind. Jesus, mother of God. Naruto yelled in fear as he swung around as fast as he could. The weasel masked Anbu operative just deadpanned towards Naruto. Oh. Naruto covered his mouth with his hand, realizing his error. Naruto, what would Miss Kushina and Lord Hokage say if they heard you say that? The weasel masked figure asked seriously. It doesn't matter what she thinks. And Gramps doesn't care. Naruto informed Weasel. And what about my mother? The weasel masked Anbu asked curiously. Your mother? Who's that? Naruto asked, completely clueless as to who he was talking to. Oh? You haven't figured it out. Well, you know her by Auntie Mikoto. The Anbu operative then removed his mask. The Anbu operative was a male around the age of 11 to 12. He had onyx eyes under which were long, pronounced tear troughs. His hair was jet black hair and was pulled back in a low ponytail. Itachi? Naruto yelled and flung to hug the older boy. Yep. Now what was that about, not caring if my mother hears about what you just said? Itachi asked innocently. I won't say it again. Naruto shuddered at the thought of Mikoto hearing about him swearing. Good. Itachi said as he ruffled Naruto's hair and smiled towards him. So are you back from your mission then? Naruto asked as he grabbed and tried to fix where Itachi messed up his hair. Yep, I just got back from debriefing with my captain. Itachi informed the blonde. Itachi is not an Anbu captain yet. Cool, Naruto said in awe at Itachi. Now what are you doing here, Naruto? This is restricted area and it is hidden from the general populace, so do you mind telling me why you're here? Itachi inquired politely. Oh, you aren't going to believe what happened, Naruto grinned towards the older Uchiha. Oh? And what happened then? Itachi raised an eyebrow. I'm going to be an apprentice. Naruto exclaimed, causing many of the Anbu around them to look towards them. You're joking. Nope. An Anbu captain is making me his apprentice. Naruto said with pride evident in his voice. What? That's even harder to believe. Anbu captains aren't allowed to have apprentices, or at least they never have had one before. Itachi deadpanned once again. Well, I guess I'm special. Ugh, I guess you're telling truth, that's the only way you would have gotten in here. Fine then, who's your sensei? Which captain? Itachi questioned. He said to call him Panther, Naruto said hesitantly, since he didn't really know what his name was. You're kidding. Itachi obviously didn't believe him. Nope. You can go ask him yourself, his room is right next to mine. Naruto explained. Well, aren't you special, Panther? Itachi finally believed Naruto. Yep. So Anbu? I never knew that was what you wanted to do. I always expected you didn't like staying in the shadows. I don't, it's just the best bet, I have to get stronger. Naruto explained. Oh? Do tell why you need to get stronger. Well, I just need to, Naruto answered cryptically. Ugh, fine, answer me when you want to, don't answer the one who's known you your entire life. Itachi fainted hurt. HN. Naruto simple huffed and looked back at the training Anbu. Oh? And who's the Uchiha here? Itachi inquired in his normally stoic voice. Shut up, Naruto spoke with an evident blush on his face. Okay, now that we have that figured out, why don't we go see your new room? Itachi suggested. Deal. Naruto's dorm. Unbelievable, Itachi muttered to himself as he stood in the center of the room. What is? Naruto asked curiously as he saw the surprised expression on Itachi as he looked around the room. What? You don't realize how lucky you are, Itachi asked incredulously. What? No, this room is 5 times bigger than the usual dorms. Itachi exclaimed. What do you mean? Naruto asked cluelessly. What do I mean? Have you seen the other dorms? No, I just got here a few hours ago and fell asleep right after. Naruto chuckled sheepishly. Ugh, haven't you at least wondered why there are community kitchens and bathrooms out there? Or lounges for entertainment for that matter. No, I just thought they were just there. Naruto spoke meekly. Naruto, obviously you're a prodigy if you were picked by Captain Panther as his apprentice, but you really are lagging behind in your common sense department. I'm a little disappointed in you. Naruto. Itachi feigned disappointment. Okay, I get it. I have a really fancy room compared to the others. Finally, now I'm guessing the reason is because you're the apprentice of a captain, but still. Okay, well that's enough talking, do you mind showing me around? I was on my way to adventure, but you kind of showed up. Naruto explained. I would love to, Naruto. And so, for the next hour Itachi showed Naruto around the HQ and Naruto settled in. The next day early morning, alarms blare, but the Naruto immediately shot awake in shock. Alarms blare, Naruto immediately shot up looking around for the source of the sound. After searching the room quickly he had one thought come to mind. We're under attack. Naruto shouted at himself and threw on his kunai pouch he got from Hiruzen and a pair of dark pants and dark long sleeve shirt. He didn't have any ninja gear yet so he couldn't put that on, so he put what he had on. Boom, Naruto burst through the door in a hurry and saw. Everything was normal. But the Naruto spoke to himself as he saw Anbu walking around like it was a normal day. I see you're up. A voice spoke from behind Naruto. Mr. Panther? Naruto yelled in shock. It's sensei from now on. Panther informed the blonde. Alright, what happened? The sirens, where did they go? Naruto asked confusingly. That was your first wake-up call. I'm going to be waking you up at random times to make sure you are completely used to this type of thing. Panther explained. Right, now let's stop wasting time and get on to our first test. The operative informed. Test? Indeed. You are going to be surviving out in the woods by yourself for a week for our first test. Why a test though? The best way to learn is to experience it firsthand. And as of right now you need to learn how to survive in the wild. Panther explained. When are we leaving then? Naruto asked curiously. Not we, you and you alone. Oh okay, then what can I bring? Only the things you thought of bringing when you thought we were under attack. Panther explained. But that's not enough. Naruto tried to say but was cut off. No. Now grab my hand. Panther commanded fervently. Oh okay. Naruto then grabbed his hand and they disappeared in a shunshin. Unknown forest. They both appeared in a swirl of leaves in the middle of a clearing. Whoa, I want to learn how to do that. Naruto stumbled a bit. Hey, since Naruto turned around to look at Panther but saw nothing. Hey. Don't leave me here without telling me anything. Naruto yelled. Nothing. Ugh, dumb new teacher. Naruto cursed to himself as he started to look around and thumbed his kunai pouch. That's when he saw it. An envelope. You're my new pupil. I have left you here for an unknown amount of time. Do I know? No. Do you know? Well, if I don't know then you definitely don't know. We still need to learn about each other and whatnot, you know, the normal sensei and student relationship. So. If you survive this ordeal we will get some food and learn about each other. That is if you survive though, so good luck. Make some friends. And don't die or get any fatal wounds. Like I said again. Good luck. Chapter 3. A companion for the lonely. Sat in the middle of a clearing of a forest in an unknown corner of the world was a boy around the age of 7 to 8 with bright blonde hair that was colored to a dirtier blonde due to the filth that was inside of it. Okay, what is the plan now? I've been here for 1 day and already lost 2 kunai and I only found a few berries that Gramps told me were fine for me to eat if I ever needed. Naruto spoke to himself with his eyes closed, sitting cross-legged on a patch of grass. Obviously I need to be more careful with my kunai and I found that stream earlier that I could use for water last night. The tree was okay, but I definitely need somewhere better to stay warm considering how cold it was last night. Naruto started tapping his arm and thought. The problem is food once again. I'm going to need to build a fire, but I don't know how. Naruto grunted as he stood up. Like they say there's no better way to learn than by first-hand experience. Naruto exclaimed to himself as he stood up. And so Naruto got up and started walking. First he went to the small stream he found the day before and washed his face and drank the water, not caring for whatever diseases may be in it. Then he went to a few bushes by the stream and gathered berries to eat when he got hungry. Once he gathered it all together he placed them by a tree and then he went on a hunt for branches and leaves, hoping to make a fire. How the heck am I supposed to do this? Naruto mumbled to himself as he stared at the pile of leaves and wood on the ground before him. Okay, I saw this on TV before like this. No, this Naruto spoke to himself as he grabbed a stick and put it between his hands before moving them rapidly to create friction and hopefully start a fire. He did that for a good 5 minutes until he finally gave an exasperated sigh and fell back in defeat. This isn't good, Naruto said aloud to anyone who may hear him. Why did I think somebody would actually hear that? Ugh, I may as well at least look for a cave or something to sleep in. I have what? 7 hours until it's dark out. Naruto got up to start his adventure once again. Naruto adventured through the forest, not really minding his surroundings, not that there was anything to mind at the moment considering he was in the middle of nowhere, but you can never be too careful. As he ventured through the forest, Naruto only found a few things of importance, a larger water source that he could probably find fish in, and more berry bushes that seemed safe enough to eat. Damn it. How hard can it be to find one cave? Naruto cursed quite loudly as he sat down on a rock. Naruto closed his eyes and just stayed like that for a few minutes. Okay, maybe I'm just looking too hard, maybe I just need to sit back, and Naruto leaned back on the rock until he saw a large hill not the size of a mountain, but it was definitely bigger than the Hokage Tower. That's it. Naruto, you genius. Naruto jumped in joy. If you looked closely enough at the hill you would see something about 2/3 up the hill on the side of it. A cave. Shelter, here I come. Naruto cheered as he started a full-on sprint through the forest. Naruto bobbed and weaved through the forest, skillfully dodging every branch and root, not tripping once throughout the entire ordeal. Finally, he made it to the base of the hill. The hill itself was a grassy hill with a few drop-offs, but that was all. It was steep but not impossible to climb. In all, it was a perfect place to stay for shelter. It was elevated above the trees, so you could see pretty far from above, and if it rained he wouldn't have to worry about it flooding. And so he started to make his way up the hill. This is Naruto spoke to himself. He looked around the bland cave that didn't seem too nice to sleep in, let alone live in for the next who knows how long. Better than outside in a tree, Naruto finished as he entered the cave. As he entered the cave he noticed it went deeper than he thought, but sadly he couldn't see that far down. I guess I'm not going to be adventuring in there until I get a fire going. I can't even see 5 feet in front of me as it is. I definitely need a fire for light and heat. Naruto spoke to himself as went out to once again to gather wood, branches, and leaves for a fire. Naruto sat in the cave in front of the pile of firewood for a good few minutes until he gave up for now, since he couldn't figure out how to start the fire. That's when he took out his kunai and started sharpening them by scraping them against each other. That's when it happened. That's it. Naruto jumped up and looked at the 2 kunai in his hand. As soon as he struck the 2 metal blades together, sparks flew through the hair. Almost immediately after he witnessed the revelation he started to set up the firewood and leaves so he could hopefully start a fire. Come on. Naruto spoke to himself as he knelt down beside his makeshift fire pit. Dang it. Naruto cursed to himself as he struck the metal together and nothing happened. Please work. Naruto did it again, but nothing happened. This time Naruto angled the blades differently and struck them together in a scraping motion. Yes. Naruto cheered as sparks flew through the air and landed on the dead leaves he had placed underneath the bigger pieces of wood. Again. 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 Naruto continued this until a small fire lit on the corners of one of the leaves. Now I blow lightly on this, Naruto commanded himself. Yes. I'm doing it. Naruto cheered as he saw all the leaves start to set on fire. Now add a few twigs and branches one by one until the bigger logs catch on fire. And before long Naruto had a full fire on his hands. By the time he finished though it was already nighttime and he couldn't see a thing except the parts of the cave illuminated by the fire and the thousands of stars in the sky. I expected it to be lonelier out here, it's strangely relaxing, Naruto spoke to himself as he sat by the fire in relative silence. I guess it's not that different than Konoha. Naruto just sat there staring out of the cave for an hour until he finally thought it was time to go to sleep. He didn't have a blanket so he slept dangerously close to the fire for warmth, but he didn't care, it was warm and peaceful to him. Almost immediately Naruto shot awake and grabbed his kunai pouch. It was still the middle of the night and the only thing he could see was what was illuminated by the fire that was still going strong. But what woke up Naruto? Howl. The sound of multiple wolves howling through the night awoke a frightened Naruto. Those wolves weren't that loud last night, Naruto thought back to when he heard the wolves the night before. Howl. The ear-deafening howls just permeated the silence that was the night. Naruto never went back to sleep after that, he huddled at the side of the cave by the fire, with his kunai pouch hugged to his chest. A few weeks and a half later, Naruto was doing quite well considering the circumstances. He had food, a shelter, he started making more homey with a makeshift futon made out of straw, long grass, and leaves. He even made his fire pit better, now he surrounded it with stones to keep in the ashes from spreading and hopefully prevent his bed from catching on fire. He never had any problems with the wolves he heard, but that didn't mean he wasn't afraid of them, in fact he met one of them 2 days ago. Flashback. A few days earlier, Naruto was just entered a clearing in the woods with a dead rabbit in his hands. Now that he had a fire, he could hunt actual animals to cook them and get more nutrients from his food, and he didn't need to only eat a vegetarian diet. Shuffle. Naruto immediately jerked his head around to look towards the direction he heard the shuffling from. Sensei? Is that you? Did I pass? Naruto hoped it was his sensei. Nothing. Shuffle. Hello? Naruto called out. Almost immediately after Naruto called out, something came out of the bushes. A massive gray and black wolf walked out slowly in caution. The speed it came out only added to its already intimidating aura. Oh crap, Naruto spoke to himself in horror. The wolf simply stared at the boy for a few moments before its eyes set on Naruto's hand, right where Naruto's dinner was, a rabbit. It was a relatively silent exchange for a few moments as human and wolf stared at each other in curiosity and caution. Growl. The wolf bared its teeth and growled towards Naruto, or more specifically his hand. Oh boy, Naruto took a step back and brought his hand out hoping to calm the beast. Growl. The wolf took a step forward as it crouched down as if it was waiting to fight. Wait. Calm. Is this what you want? Naruto asked as he swung around the dead rabbit. And just as he thought, the wolf's eyes followed the dead rabbit throughout the entire exchange. Here. Take it. Naruto threw the rabbit towards the wolf, hoping to ward it off. The wolf simply sniffed the rabbit for a few moments before it looked back up at Naruto. It's yours, Naruto spoke meekly. The wolf simply didn't move for a brief moment until he grabbed the rabbit in its mouth and ran back into the bushes. Thump. Naruto fell back onto his bottom. That was scary, Naruto thought to himself. Sure, he could have used his kunai to attack the wolf, but who knows if it would have killed it, and already he only had a few kunai, and there could have been more wolves for all he knew, and Hiruzen always told him to only kill when necessary, and only kill animals when you are going to use every bit of the animal, you shouldn't waste a death, and Naruto had no use for a dead wolf at the moment. That was the only time Naruto ran in with a wolf throughout his entire stay so far. End of flashback. Ever since that, Naruto never had any notable occurrences. One thing he did realize after that spectacle was that this wasn't a field trip, no, this was the wilderness, where everything is wild and it doesn't go by the rules of urban civilization. It's scary to Naruto after that point. He realized the dangers of it and the inhabitants that lived in it, and most of all he learned, there are no rules out here. In his own strange way, he liked it out here in the middle nowhere. He felt free, he felt like nobody could hold him back like he felt in the village, he felt truly alive. Scared, but alive. But now it was night and Naruto was sat in his cave poking a stick around in the fire, watching the sparks fly through the night sky. He had the same clothes as when he first arrived, except now his clothes were more rugged and worn out. He seemed to have added some larger leaves around his forearms and shins, seemingly for extra warmth in the cold. He also made a makeshift spear by finding a large branch that didn't curve, and then he strapped one of his kunai to the end with a bunch of vines he found and twined together. It took 2 days to get used to, but nevertheless he got the basics of how to throw a spear. Now why would he need a spear? Because he was getting tired of small prey like rabbits and squirrels. He was hoping he could kill a deer with the spear, since a kunai wouldn't be the best weapon against a deer considering their thick hide, and the kunai would need to penetrate much deeper, and at the moment Naruto didn't have that kind of strength. He was hoping that the spear would work, but sadly for him, he hasn't gotten the chance to test it out yet. Well, he did, but he missed altogether, but he at least got to use the spear for fishing. It was way easier using the spear than his hands, or simply holding the kunai in his hand. Naruto was shocked out of his trance when he heard rapid steps coming towards him, or at least it sounded like that from where he was in the cave. Immediately he stood up, put his kunai pouch on, which only had 6 kunai left, and then he picked up his spear and stood ready at the entrance of the cave, with the fire illuminating just far enough for Naruto to see the bottom of the hill where the noises came from. Shuffle. Immediately Naruto snapped his head towards the right of the brush, where there were a few bushes overshadowed by a tree. Whoosh. A decent-sized deer leaped over the brush and through the small opening in the woods. It simply stood there for a short second, moving its head around, listening and looking for something before leaping off again back into the opposite world. Naruto stood there for a second until he thought of something. He hadn't eaten anything after lunch today, and he wasn't planning on it, but this was a perfect opportunity to actually get a deer and hopefully use his spear, since he didn't want to lose any more kunai. So, without a second thought about why the deer was running, Naruto sprinted after the deer as fast as he could. Naruto bobbed and weaved through the woods as skillfully as he could, follow the deer as fast as he could. Sadly for Naruto, and thankfully for the deer, Naruto still didn't know how to reinforce himself with chakra, so he could run faster than the average civilian. Sure, Naruto was faster than anyone else his age, but faster than a perfectly healthy deer. That's a stretch for most people. And so he chased after the deer for a good 10 minutes until he noticed the terrain to start to change. The trees got fewer, the trees also started to lose their life, and the ground got rougher and more rocky, but that didn't matter to him. He was so close to his target. Yes. It's right there. Naruto whispered to himself. Right after he said that, the deer disappeared as he leaped over a bush and out of Naruto's sight. Naruto though thought that this was his chance, so makeshift spear in hand he sprinted faster than he already was running and he forced his legs to bend and then jump at incredible speeds over the brush. Everything was bright for a moment as Naruto emerged from the forest, but he quickly regained his vision and thoughts. All around him was stone and gravel. The forest cut off sharply where Naruto jumped out of and no longer was the lush blossoming forest he was just in. But Naruto quickly shook that thought off as he searched around for the deer he was in the middle of hunting. Nothing. Completely nothing. As if it just up and vanished from thin air. It was right there though. Naruto spoke to himself in disbelief. He continued to spin around looking for any signs of where he went, but that was when he heard it. Growl. He stiffened almost instantaneously as he heard the growls and snarls, but this wasn't like when he heard it the first time, no, there were multiple of them. Naruto immediately shifted himself to point towards where he heard the growls coming from. The forest. His only escape was through the forest, and right about now it had who knows how many wolves waiting for him. Last time I just gave them back their prey, and that worked. Now I scared away their prey. Naruto spoke to himself in horror as realization dawned on him. He was now their prey. All of a sudden 4 wolves emerged from the brush, 2 were black with a little white, 1 was gray, and the 4th was the smallest and most likely the youngest. It was dirty brown and white, or at least that's what they looked like in limited light coming from the moon in the night sky. Damned. Naruto started backing away slightly, never moving his eyes from the 4 beasts. All 4 wolves lowered their heads and increased their snarls as they prepared to attack. Naruto knew he couldn't fight them all at once, so he only had one choice. Run. The problem was that he couldn't outrun them. So he made up his choice, run. He turned and sprinted as fast as he could, flinging his head side to side just to find an escape or somewhere to be safe at the least. There. Naruto cried out in relief as he saw on top of a small steep rock platform was a tree completely void of life, but it was somewhere tall enough for Naruto to wait it out on. Naruto continued to run as fast as he could towards the tree. That's when it happened. Naruto looked behind himself to see where the wolves were. Unluckily or luckily Naruto turned back just in time to see the large black and white wolf leaping in the air towards him. Naruto swung around and put his makeshift spear in form of himself to block the beast, but the beast's momentum took Naruto down to the ground with the wolf on top of him. The wolf snarled on top of Naruto as Naruto's spear was in the beast's mouth. Naruto used both of his hands to hold the spear away from himself, but it was a losing battle. Crack. The spear was cracking under the pressure of both the wolf's biting strength and its pushing force. Snap. The spear snapped completely and the wolf seized Naruto's neck, but right before the wolf could rip out Naruto's jugular, Naruto used the broken spear and stabbed it into the wolf's side. Whimper. The wolf leaped back slightly in pain. Naruto used that time and picked himself and jumped back up right before the other wolves caught up and pounced on him. Naruto sprinted towards his only salvation, the tree on the hill, but not before the gray wolf leaped towards Naruto. This time the wolf didn't grab Naruto, the wolf missed and got hold of Naruto's kunai pouch. Naruto didn't even have time to curse to himself before he started leaping up the steep rock formation that housed the tree. Damn it. Naruto cursed to himself as he neared the tree. He was there. His salvation. He took one leap up. And then he was dragged back down. The dirty brown and white wolf grabbed his leg mid-leap and didn't let him go up any further. Let go. Naruto yelled as he dangled from the tree. Naruto hung desperately to the branch he barely got a hold of before he fell. But the wolf simply kept shaking and thrashing around trying to get Naruto down the tree. Stop. Naruto screamed as he continued to try and kick the wolf. The wolf never stopped and it wasn't for naught. Naruto lost his hold on the branch and fell down the tree. He landed on his back with a loud thud. No. Naruto yelled as the wolf bit onto his thigh. Now that Naruto was on the ground, Naruto grit his teeth through the pain and looked around for anything to use as a weapon since his kunai pouch was nowhere to be found. Ah. Naruto screamed as the wolf continued to attack at his leg. That's when Naruto found it, a boulder the size of a football. With all the strength Naruto could muster, he swung the boulder that was above his head straight towards the wolf. Whimper. The wolf flew back with a loud whine whimper as Naruto bashed the rock at the wolf's head. The wolf fell down the steep rock formation and landed in front of the other 2 wolves who hadn't made it up the formation yet. They stared at their fallen comrade for a moment before looking up at Naruto. Naruto could have sworn he saw an emotion in their eyes at that moment. Fear. He could have sworn he saw fear in their eyes as they stared up at his silhouette barely illuminated in the moonlight. His thoughts were only confirmed when the 2 remaining wolves turned around and lightly jogged back to their 3rd member that Naruto stabbed. After they got to him, the 2 wolves ran towards the forest, while the black and white wolf Naruto stabbed simply limped behind them. But Naruto was confused. They left the dirty brown and white wolf. Naruto slowly made his down the rock formation with rock in hand as a weapon. As he neared the wolf, he felt his anger and frustration start to boil and erupt from within, slowly taking control. He kneeled next to the unconscious wolf. He stared at it for a second. Then he slowly raised both hands, boulder in between them. He trembled as he looked down at the fallen wolf. And he swung intending to finish the job. Then he missed. Ah! Naruto cried out as tears welled from his eyes. All his frustration poured out. He never worried once after he was dropped off in the middle of nowhere, but now all his stress and anxieties poured out and he was about to take it out on an innocent creature that couldn't even harm him anymore. "I'm sorry," Naruto choked out as he cried above the fallen wolf. "I'm so sorry," Naruto wailed. He couldn't believe himself. He couldn't forgive himself. But he could try and remedy his mistake. So slowly Naruto slid his hands under the fallen wolf and picked him up. He knew how to increase his strength to an extent from the short lesson he had from Hiruzen, but that didn't mean the wolf wasn't still heavy for his small body. And so slowly Naruto limped through the forest trying to get back to his cave to try and heal the wolf. After all, it was his only way to redeem himself in his eyes. The next morning, as the sun rose, Naruto winced and squinted his eyes. He hadn't slept once the entire night just in case the wolf woke back up. He may have needed to redeem himself, but that didn't mean he would be dumb enough to be defenseless with a wolf who he didn't even know what the extent of its injuries were and if he would wake up to a wolf's jaws crushing his neck. The wolf never woke up throughout the night, so Naruto couldn't really see what the damage was and if Naruto could even try and help it or if it would be more merciful to just put the animal down. Hell, Naruto didn't even know if the wolf would wake up. The only reaction that the wolf showed that it was still alive was the steady breathing and occasional whine during the night. Growl. Naruto's head whipped around towards the wolf. The wolf was awake and Naruto didn't even notice it. Naruto didn't know what to do with the wolf. It's not like this is a regular occurrence. Growl. The wolf didn't stand up, it just laid there and growled at Naruto. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. Naruto tried to calm the beast. The wolf stopped growling this time, but it stared at Naruto, refusing to break eye contact. See? I'm not going to hurt you. Naruto slowly brought his hand towards the wolf. Growl. The wolf opened its mouth and snapped towards Naruto's hand in a form of defense, still not standing up. Oh, okay, so you don't trust me then? Naruto held his hand protectively. Do you want food? Naruto asked. Nothing. I shouldn't expect an animal to understand me that easily anyway. Well, I may as well go get breakfast then. And so Naruto carefully backed away from the wolf and grabbed his kunai pouch that he retrieved after the wolf encounter and a makeshift bowl he made from wood for water, just in case the wolf wanted water. Well, if you're gone when I'm back then I guess my job would be done, Naruto spoke to the wolf as he left the cave. 20 minutes later, Naruto just finished getting water from the stream by the cave and now he was heading back to the cave to feed the wolf and hopefully gain its trust. As he entered the cave, the wolf was still there, except he was a foot or two away from where he was originally laying. Naruto shrugged it off and figured the wolf couldn't walk and attempted to only fall back down. But that was when Naruto noticed something about the wolf that he didn't notice before in the darkness. The wolf wasn't brown and white. It was a pure white colored wolf. The only reason it looked brown was because of the dirt and mud stuck to its coat and body. And then its eyes. Naruto marveled at the eyes. Just like how everyone else marveled at Naruto's eyes, Naruto marveled at the wolf's eyes. They were blue. Pure ocean-colored blue. Whoa, Naruto spoke to himself in awe. The wolf simply stared at Naruto in return. Do you want food? Or water? Naruto asked, not really expecting an answer. Nothing. Here. Naruto cut the rabbit he acquired in half and brought it towards the wolf. Growl. The wolf growled at Naruto, still not letting him get anywhere near it, not even for food. Okay, I guess not. Naruto flung his hand back in fear. But that's when he saw the wolf look longingly towards the piece of meat. Naruto moved his hand to the left, then the right. The wolf followed the food every time and licked its lips in want. Here you go, I know you don't trust me to get close, so here. Naruto gently tossed the piece of meat towards the wolf. The wolf growled slightly, thinking Naruto was attacking it, but quieted down once the meat stopped in front of the wolf. Sniff. The wolf smelled the meat for a few seconds before it scarfed it down faster than Naruto has ever seen anything eat before. Once it was finished it relaxed slightly, but Naruto could tell it was still very on edge. I know you're scared, but I don't want to harm you, I'm trying to help you. I almost did something bad, so this is my way of making it up to you. Naruto told the wolf. The wood simply stared back at Naruto with an unreadable look on its face. Okay, you can't understand me yet, well do you want water? Naruto asked curiously as he lifted the bowl of water towards the wolf. Snarl. Once again, the wolf growled and snarled as Naruto neared it. As soon as Naruto snapped back he spilled some water and quickly cursed himself. Okay, what did I read in that one animal book before? Naruto asked himself deep in thought. That's it. Naruto cheered to himself as he thought of it. Naruto once again brought the bowl towards the wolf. Growl. Naruto didn't falter this time as he brought the bowl closer to the wolf. Don't show fear and it won't feel like it can attack you. Naruto told himself, repeating what he read in a book before. Growl. The growling and snarling only got more intense as Naruto neared. Finally, about 1.5 feet in front of the wolf, Naruto gently placed the bowl down, slowly backed away. Phew, that wasn't nice, Naruto breathed out in relief, not even realizing he had his breath held the entire time. This time the wolf slowly inched itself towards the bowl of water, clearly intent on seeing what it was. As soon as the wolf arrived at the bowl, it sniffed it a few times before it eagerly gulped it all down. Naruto simply smiled, seeing that he somehow could help the wolf, and eagerly hoped he could gain the wolf's trust. "I'm gonna go out and work on my taijutsu and hopefully make another spear now, so do whatever you want," Naruto spoke to the wolf calmly as he picked up his kunai pouch and walked out the cave. The wolf simply stared at Naruto as he left, and once Naruto was out of sight, the wolf relaxed and went back to sleep. A few days later, the days went by slowly for Naruto, the wolf has yet to walk. Naruto realized that one of the wolf's injuries was his left rear leg and his from left leg, how you may ask. The wolf tried to stand 2 days ago, and well, he wobbled for a second before he collapsed to his left, and it hasn't tried again yet. Thankfully though, the wolf trusts Naruto to an extent. Naruto can now hand the food and water to the wolf, and Naruto can get near the wolf without the wolf growling or attacking. Now can Naruto touch the wolf? Naruto hasn't dared to try yet, but he needed to try, and today may be that day. He didn't know a lot about healing except for what he read and was taught by Hiruzen, but if he could at least see where the wolf was injured, he could maybe make a splint or do whatever he can do to hopefully help the healing or take the pain away. "So how are you doing?" Naruto spoke aloud. This became a regular thing the past few days. Naruto would make conversation with the wolf, even though the wolf couldn't understand him yet, but the wolf did now understand what food and water was. The wolf would grunt in response for a yes whenever Naruto asked if he wanted food or water. "Bad?" "Yeah, I could tell," Naruto answered for the wolf. Naruto didn't know if he really could or not, but he could swear he could understand the beast by simply seeing its body. Every simple posture meant something to him, or at least that's what he thought. He didn't really get any confirmation about that yet. "Do you trust me yet?" Naruto asked as he looked back at the wolf still resting in the corner of the cave opposite Naruto. No response. "What was that?" Naruto asked again. One would think Naruto was insane for talking to the beast like it was a human, but I mean, come on. He was just like any other child his age who would talk to their own dog, just Naruto's dog was a wild animal born and raised to kill and hunt anything alive, and it did try and kill Naruto, but that was beside the point. "Fine, I'll see for myself," Naruto told the wolf as he propped himself up and then stood up. Naruto then slowly walked towards the wolf, trying not to cause any distress or anxiety. The wolf simply looked at him curiously and cautiously, since he didn't have any food or water like usual. And the wolf simply stared up at Naruto as he stopped in front of the wolf and stared down. He stared at the wolf for a second, and subconsciously gulped in nervousness. What if the wolf didn't trust him? What if he loses all the trust he worked so hard to gain? What if? Naruto refused to think farther than that. It was now or never. So he reached, flexed his hand and arm, subconsciously preparing for a jaw clamping around his arm with teeth penetrating the skin. And then he felt it. Soft. Soft. Fur. Whoa, Naruto said in awe, as even though the wolf was covered in dirt and mud, the fur was soft, scarily soft. There was no growl. No snarl. No baring of teeth. Simply a curious stare coming from the wolf. "Ha ha 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 ha. If you trusted me this much already, why was I scared?" Naruto chuckled to himself as he sat next to the wolf in relief. He could feel the wolf wasn't really comfortable yet, so Naruto released his hand and simply stared at the wolf. The wolf trusted him enough to let him touch him, but that didn't mean he liked Naruto yet. "Okay, Wolfie. I don't want to hurt you, but I think I need to see your injuries," Naruto called the wolf, Wolfie, as he didn't have a name for the beast yet, nor was he planning for a name. He knew giving it a name would mean getting attached to the beast, and Naruto didn't want to get attached to the animal, since he didn't expect to know the wolf for long. It would only hurt more when he finally left. "Can you trust me to touch you again?" "It's to hopefully help you," Naruto spoke calmly towards the wolf. Naruto could have sworn he saw the wolf nod give its consent. So, Naruto gently brought his hands along the wolf's body and went to work. The right 2 legs were fine and the wolf didn't care. There was one rib Naruto thought may have been considering. He heard the wolf whimper as he applied pressure, but broken ribs usually healed by themselves unless they were major, and considering the wolf was doing fine this far along, he figured it was fine. Not that he could do anything about a broken rib. Now it was time to the left side. Growl. Naruto didn't jump from the growl like before, but he did know this was where the worst injury probably was. The wolf didn't attempt to attack Naruto, no, the beast was simply warning Naruto that's where the worst injury was. Naruto simply put that leg off for now and wanted to see if anything else was badly injured like this leg. The other leg made the wolf whimper, but nothing more. Naruto figured that leg was either sprained or bruised. After that, nothing else made any visible reaction occur from the beast. Damn it, Naruto cursed to himself as he shook his nervousness out as he was about to go for his badly injured leg again. "Please trust me, Wolfie, this is for your own good," Naruto pleaded as he zeroed in on the leg. Growl. Naruto heard the light growl, but trusted that the wolf wouldn't attack him, hopefully. Naruto gently rubbed across the wolf's leg to hopefully find the problem. The hip was fine. The knee was fine. That's when he found it. Growl. The growl got slightly louder and more alarming. The wolf's fibula, leg bone, was broken. From what Naruto could feel he could tell it was most likely a clean break. That would make this easier, but he still had to reset the bone, and the wolf definitely wouldn't like that. Okay Wolfie, this is going to hurt a lot, please bear with it, I'm only trying to help you, Naruto spoke calmly. Naruto quickly went back to his makeshift futon and grabbed a bunch of sticks and makeshift ropes he created from vines. Once he got everything he made his way back to the injured wolf and kneeled next to it. Okay, I'm going to do this as fast as I can, Naruto spoke to the wolf. The wolf simply stared back. Growl. The wolf's growls intensified by a large margin as Naruto grabbed the broken bone by both ends. Growl. The wolf was snarling and growling as Naruto applied more pressure through his fingers and hands. Sorry. Naruto managed to say before the inevitable happened. Snap. Roar. As soon as Naruto reset the bone, the wolf let out an unearthly roar as it spun around and latched his jaw around Naruto's arm. Naruto didn't have time to move, so he simply grit his teeth and prepared for the worst. But it never happened. Huh? Naruto opened his eyes and looked down. The wolf had its mouth around Naruto's forearm, but it didn't bite down. It gently brought its jaw off of Naruto and then licked Naruto's arm, thankfully. That's what Naruto thought it was for. All Naruto could think that happened was that the wolf quickly realized that Naruto fixed its leg and he wasn't trying to hurt him. The wolf simply continued to lick Naruto's arm as Naruto breathed out a sigh of relief. Oh, thank you, Naruto spoke out to the wolf kindly. The wolf simply looked up at him and licked Naruto's arm again. Okay, I'm gonna make a splint for you now, I hope it works. Naruto explained as he gathered his sticks and makeshift rope. It wasn't the best of splints, but it got the job done, and considering the circumstances Naruto thought it wasn't too shabby. There. Naruto exclaimed as he marveled at his work around the wolf's leg. The wolf simply lifted its head and looked at the splint for a second, and then it put its head back down and rested again. I guess you don't really care too much, do you? Naruto sighed in defeat. Well. I better go get food. Naruto cheered as he got up, grabbed his spear, and went on his way out of the cave. A few days later, it got a lot colder lately, the animals were scarcer, it was harder for Naruto to move around due to the cold winds, but nevertheless he did it. The wolf still hadn't gotten up yet, but Naruto was sure he would soon, after all he read somewhere that animals heal faster than humans, and if it was a clean break like Naruto initially thought, then it could be good enough to walk on any day now. But now, Naruto was shivering in his makeshift futon. Not even the warmth emanating from the fire was enough to keep Naruto warm, he needed something else. He had a thin blanket of leaves and grass he gathered, but that was all, and it didn't stop the wind from flowing through it. The wolf. It stared at Naruto as it heard the shivering permeate the nighttime air. Naruto was already asleep thankfully, but his body subconsciously shivered at second. That's when the wolf flexed its muscles. And stood up. It took one step cautiously seemingly to test the waters. Then another. And another. And so it slowly limped around the fire. And arrived at its destination. Naruto's bed. It gently used its snout to burrow through the leaves and grass until it burrowed enough to lay next to Naruto. Naruto in his sleep snaked an arm around the wolf for more warmth. The wolf flinched from the sudden contact but nevertheless relaxed next to Naruto. A bizarre friendship was being born. The next morning, Naruto woke up warm. That was surprising. That's when he looked for the source of the heat and he saw a coat of dirty white fur. He jumped back in shock and sent leaves and grass flying everywhere. What the? Naruto exclaimed. The wolf lifted its head out of the leaf pile, leaves gently resting on top of it, it simply stared at Naruto in curiosity once again. You? Moved. Wait, you slept with me? Naruto asked confusingly. The wolf simply stared back, but Naruto interpreted that as, you helped me stay warm? Because I was shivering all night. Naruto cheered. Stare. Oh, you're the best. You even walked. Naruto exclaimed as he rushed back at the wolf and hugged it. The wolf stiffened at first but quickly relaxed and licked Naruto on the side of the face. Oh, was it going to get more fun for Naruto now? A week and a half later, Naruto was currently running through the rainy forest with a pure white wolf close behind. The wolf started going with Naruto on his hunts. Granted, the wolf wasn't much help the first few days, considering he just started to walk again and he was still limping, but now he could lightly jog, which was enough to keep up with Naruto, considering neither of them were trying to go that fast. Naruto and the wolf were currently trying to return to the cave after they went bathing in the river and hunting a few rabbits. To say Naruto was shocked would be an understatement when he saw the wolf's coat completely clean. The fur was white as snow and unblemished as long as it was clean. But shortly after their bath it started to rain and now they were rushing home with their food. Hum on Wolfie. Naruto cheered as leaped through the forest not caring for the slippery ground. Bark. The wolf returned as it followed close behind Naruto. We can cook these rabbits and have a feast fit for kings. Naruto laughed as he ran through the forest. The wolf didn't answer that one, but Naruto could tell it was hungry just like himself. That's when it happened. Ah. Naruto tripped over something. Snap, crunch, ah. Naruto cried out as he tumbled across the ground. Naruto's foot got stuck between a crevasse in the ground and a root, and Naruto didn't tell before well. Naruto screamed as he looked down at his leg. No 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 no. This can't be happening. Naruto screamed in horror. His leg was snapped the wrong way right above the ankle. The wolf immediately rushed towards Naruto to see what happened. Damn it. It's over. Please. No. Naruto cried out as he didn't know what to do. The pain was unbearable and he couldn't move. He now knew what the wolf felt just a few days ago. Ah. Naruto jerked as he pulled his hand back from the break. He hovered his hands all around trying to think of what to do. That's when he heard it. Just when I come back to check on you, you somehow break your ankle. Really? The Kyuubi spoke out of nowhere. Ah. Naruto whimpered, not hearing the voice at all through all the pain. Thankfully he had adrenaline pumping through his body at the moment, so it numbed some of the pain, but it still hurt a lot more than he could take. Naruto. Ah. It hurts. What do I do? Naruto yelled for anyone. The wolf simply stared helplessly at Naruto. You know I can help. The nine-tailed fox continued to speak. I'm gonna die. Anyone. Please. Naruto roared through the rain. Boy. The great fox finally lost its patience and yelled. Hey Kyuubi. Naruto stuttered due to the pain. Yes. Now do you want my help or not? Why do you want to help me? Didn't you already fulfill your duties? Naruto asked through pants. I was coming to check up on you when I noticed you screaming to the heavens for help, so I thought you could use some. The fox answered, not completely sure by the end. Ah. I don't care. Please help. I don't know what to do. Naruto answered. Ugh, very well, let me check. Alright, it's a clean break, so you should be able to reset it, but. Naruto asked quickly. As you are at the moment, you physically cannot reset it yourself, your muscles will not work, and your body will automatically stop you from touching or attempting to do anything to make any more damage than already caused. The fox explained. Then what do I do? Naruto questioned urgently. Do you see anywhere where you can use as leverage to hold your ankle in place? The fox asked seriously. Naruto quickly looked around to see anywhere like what he was told. Then he found it. It was two boulders stood against each other, but at the top, it was shaped as a V, perfect to set his ankle in like the Kyuubi informed. Wolfie? Could you please help me? Naruto asked as he gestured for the wolf to come closer. The wolf quickly came to assist Naruto, and Naruto used the wolf as a balancer and crutch, slowly hobbling to the crevasse he found between the boulders. Alright. I have it there. Naruto winced as he placed his leg there. Alright, now once you do this I can handle the rest. Thankfully, thanks to you becoming a demon, your healing will increase, and with me in here that makes it even better. Not to mention your Uzumaki bloodline. Alright, I get it. What do I do now? Naruto asked urgently. Right. Set it so the break is set right between the stones. Alright. Done. Naruto exclaimed in pain. Now this part is going to hurt like a lot. The fox warned the boy. What do I do? Hurry, twist your entire body to the left as fast as you can, don't think. The fox commanded. Crunch. Ah. Naruto screamed as loud as he could. I warned you. Ah. Oh, come on. Calm down. Here, I'll help you. The fox spoke as hot feeling filled his leg and took away the pain for the most part. All that was left was a stinging feeling. What the? Be happy I took away the pain for the time being. Now hurry and get back to wherever you are staying. The fox ordered. What happened? Naruto asked, not sure of what just happened. What happened? You just reset your bone, that's what happened. How? When I told you to twist as fast as you could, it was to use your body weight to forcefully move the bone back into place. Now I used my help from inside you to do most of that, but you did go through the pain, so what about the hot feeling in my leg? Just a little help for the pain. Oh, okay, now get back to your cave you call home and make a splint. Fastest I can heal this is a week or two, so the faster you get a splint on this the better. Alright. Would you please help me again, Wolfie? Naruto asked as he gently brought his leg out of the crevasse. Whine. The beast came to Naruto and gently licked his cheek in worry. I'm fine, let's go back to the cave, Naruto spoke. And so Naruto hopped with one foot through the forest using a wolf to help him. Why did you help me, Kyuubi? Why? Because I wanted to. That's all. You felt me in distress and you came to help. I thought you were the one who said don't do anything that you don't gain from. I did. But I didn't come because I felt your distress. Then why did you come? I was coming to tell you something, and I conveniently stumbled across you breaking ankles. Tell me something. I'll tell you some other time. Now I'm going to go back to sleep. I'll help fix your ankle in time, but make sure you don't do anything stupid. Oh, okay, that was weird, Naruto spoke to himself as he entered the cave with the wolf by his side. I heard that. HMPH. And so the Naruto made a splint and put his leg in an elevated position to keep the swelling down. Now I'm like you, Wolfie, we both broke our legs. Naruto spoke sadly towards the wolf. The wolf simply licked Naruto's cheek in return. That was the start of a long few days. 2 weeks later, Naruto was bedbound the past 2 weeks. He got up and limped around yesterday and today, but it still hurt to apply pressure. How did he get food? It was simple. The wolf somehow understood Naruto and went out hunting on its own and brought back rabbits. What did Naruto do? Simply laid around all day and watched the forest from the opening of the cave. It was boring, sure, but it wasn't too different from the other days. The only thing really too different was Naruto's training. He couldn't exactly do Taijutsu with a broken leg. The Kyuubi never came back to talk with Naruto again or tell him what it originally planned on telling Naruto when it found Naruto when he broke his ankle, but Naruto was just thankful it helped. Right now, Wolfie was out on a hunt looking for food for Naruto and itself. Naruto didn't really worry about the wolf leaving him because he had a feeling the wolf wouldn't leave until they were both ready. But that was just a hunch. Roar. A loud guttural roar erupted from the forest and caused dozens of birds to erupt from the trees. But the Naruto spoke to himself as he never heard anything like that before in his entire stay in the forest. Howl, Wolfie. Naruto recognized the second howl and bark. The first was way too deep for the wolf, but the second was no doubt his friend. Whimper. Naruto heard Wolfie whine, and immediately he thought the worst. Wolfie. Naruto sprung up and limped towards his futon where his spear lay. Oh okay, channel chakra into your legs like you would when you raise your strength, then let it flow freely and swiftly through. Naruto remembered what he read in his books about using chakra to reinforce your legs. Ah. Naruto grit his teeth as he took a jump down the hill out of his cave. It still hurt every other step, but he could tell it was probably solid enough for him to limp towards his destination, probably. Roar. He heard the same roar again and quickened his pace, trying to disregard the pain from his leg entirely. Whine. He heard the wolf cry out. Wolfie. Naruto cried as he erupted through the brush. The scene in front of him horrified him. A massive male grizzly bear standing above his pure white wolf now with blood staining its white coat. No. Naruto screamed. The grizzly bear had one of its massive paws on the wolf's side, pinning it down. Roar. The bear roared as it brought its mouth towards the thrashing wolf's neck, intending on breaking its neck. That's when everything froze for Naruto. He needed to act. The bear still didn't see him. He could run. No. He wouldn't leave his companion behind. Let go. Naruto roared. Naruto reared back his spear arm and let it soar. The makeshift spear flew through the air at incredible speeds. Then it hit. Straight in the bear's neck. I did it. I hit the target. Naruto cheered as he finally used his spear and hit something. Granted it was a massive grizzly bear, but that didn't matter at the time. He saved his companion, or at least that's what he thought. Roar. The bear turned its attention towards Naruto's spear still embedded in its neck. Oh no. Naruto cursed to himself as he backed away slightly. The bear slowly took a step towards Naruto, letting the wolf free. Howl. The wolf tried to get the bear's attention again, but nothing worked. The bear was dead set on Naruto now. Roar. The bear started running towards Naruto. Ah. Naruto closed his eyes and waited for the inevitable as he had no weapons and he couldn't run. He waited. He braced. He prepared. Snap. Nothing happened. All he heard was a sickening snap reverberate through the woods. Looked up in question. And before him was Ha-chan. Naruto questioned as he saw chakra chains wrapped around the bear and the bear's neck broken. The bear just hung there limply in the chains. Ha-chan. That's when Naruto noticed these weren't his Ha-chan's chakra chains. Kushina's were a silvery white chain, these were black with a purple aura. That's when Naruto followed the chains. I did it. I used Ha-chan's chain thingies. Naruto exclaimed as saw the chains erupted from his back. Bark. The wolf came over to Naruto to check on him. Wolfie. Are you okay? Naruto asked urgently. Whine. The wolf has a scratch on its right thigh, but that was seemingly all. Oh thank God. Naruto hugged the wolf in relief. The wolf simply nuzzled its head to Naruto's cheek in return. Let's go home and take this guy with us, maybe we can make a bearskin blanket. Naruto exclaimed in joy. The wolf simply yipped in response. A week and a half later, Naruto finally got up to how he was before, thanks to the fox and his natural healing factors, but he didn't care. He was just happy he could be up again. Nothing major happened after the bear incident, just the normal hunt, drink and bathe. But that didn't mean nothing more would happen. Currently Naruto and the wolf sat staring at the moon. It was currently a full moon and it illuminated the entire forest below. Howl. The wolf howled next to Naruto to the moon. This wasn't the first time the wolf did that, and to be quite honest Naruto liked it. He sounded nice to him. They never got an answer to the wolf's howls, but it was still nice. Howl. Nothing. Maybe next time they will answer. Wall. Naruto answered only to be cut off. Howl, 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 howl. Dozens of howls were heard throughout the night. Immediately the wolf's ears perked up and stood up. Naruto didn't waste any time and he sprung up and grabbed his spear and kunai pouch and prepared to leave. Howl. But that howl, the wolf and boy leaped out of the cave towards the sounds. Naruto knew the wolf would want to return to its pack and he never thought of not letting it, that would just be cruel to disallow that. And so, Naruto quickly sprinted through the forest right behind the wolf. Naruto paid extra attention to his stepping this time though since he didn't want to risk another broken leg. Howl. They continued to hear multiple howls throughout the night sky. Was Naruto worried? No, he trusted his friend could keep him safe from the other wolves, hoping his friend could do that. All of a sudden all of the howls stopped and the wolf and boy stopped in the middle of a clearing. Wolfie? What happened? Naruto stopped as he noticed something. There were things all around him. In the woods, in the bush. Everywhere. Growl. He heard multiple of the beasts growl. Growl. Naruto's companion growled back not faltering. Bark. All of a sudden, a massive black and grey wolf came out of the brush. Naruto remembered the first wolf he saw back when he was hunting rabbits. The massive wolf simply walked towards Wolfie and sniffed the wolf for a second, shortly after it seemed happy to see them. Howl. The wolf howled towards the moon and all of a sudden, dozens more wolves emerged from the brush and joined in. Sniff. Naruto teared up slightly as he knew his companion was leaving him. The wolf simply came up to Naruto and nudged him with his head. I know Wolfie, I shouldn't be crying, but you have your nice family now, so good luck and thank you, you are a good friend. Naruto leaned down and hugged the wolf. Yip. The wolf yipped and licked Naruto's face eagerly. Thank you, Naruto said as he stood up and started walking towards the only exit he saw through the wolves. Goodbye friend, Naruto said sadly as he started to walk away. While Naruto's back was turned, the wolf looked at him sorrowfully. Then it did it. Bark. The wolf barked at the large black and grey wolf who led the charge. The wolf in discussion simply looked at Wolfie in question. Wolfie licked the wolf's cheek and yipped. Bark. The two wolves were seemingly having a discussion about something, while the other wolves performed a symphony of howls. Then all of a sudden all of the wolves including Wolfie and the large wolf howled as loudly as they could to the moon. With Naruto walked sadly back to his cave, spear in hand. Ugh, I told myself not to get attached and I still did. Naruto spoke to himself depressingly. Footsteps. Naruto looked up from his feet as he heard that the wolves' howling still permeated the night sky, but the footsteps were loud enough to hear through them. But Naruto readied himself for anything. Bark. Naruto spun around when he saw his companion sprinting towards him. Wolfie? Naruto asked curiously. Bark. Don't you have your family now? Naruto asked confusingly. Bark. Bark. Do you want to stay with me? Naruto asked hopefully. The wolf simply yipped in response. Really, eh? Naruto jumped for joy. Naruto landed and picked up the medium-sized pure white wolf and spun around in joy. The wolf simply yipping in agreeance. Now I'm gonna need a real name now. Wolfie is too childish and not good enough for an epic wolf like you. The wolf yipped in response once again. I got it. I'll call you. And so companions were created. They were both happy. And listened to the symphony of wolves' night. Chapter 4. The loving Ichiha. Crunch. 3 sets of footsteps could be heard running through the forest. Snap. The 3 sets of footsteps sounded like they were running as fast as they could. Shuffle. Out of nowhere a large deer leaped out of the foliage and into the clearing in the forest. Ari. Now. A voice yelled from inside the forest. All of a sudden, a medium-sized pure white wolf emerged from the bushes behind the deer and pounced onto the deer. The deer fell to the ground but quickly adjusted itself and kicked its hind legs to get the wolf off of itself. The deer stood up and prepared to take off once again. Thump. The large makeshift spear lodged itself into the deer's chest, seemingly where its heart would be. Bang. The deer fell to the ground dead. All of a sudden, a blonde-haired boy with mesmerizing ocean blue eyes emerged from the forest with a grin struck across his face. In the boy's mouth were 2 abnormally large fangs. It wasn't anything strange, just something you don't usually see unless one is from the Inuyasha clan, where they are usually closer to animals than the average human. But other than the boy's fangs, he didn't look much different from any other child around his age, which if one would guess would be around 9 to 10. And he's not 9 or 10, he wasn't left in the forest for 1 to 2 years, so no need to worry. Alright. We got it, Ari. That's another mission accomplished. Naruto cheerfully petted the female wolf's head as she walked up from behind him. The wolf yipped in response as Naruto concentrated as hard as he could and generated 1 black chain. Ugh, I still can't do it, Naruto pouted as he tried to generate more chains. Over the time period after the bear attack, Naruto could never fully duplicate what he did. For the first week he could barely generate over 3 inches of chain. He tried over and over again, but what he guessed happened was that the near-death experience triggered something in him and his dormant natural instincts took over and automatically generated the chains. But that didn't mean Naruto was satisfied. Day in and day out he trained them. He didn't know why he wanted to learn these so much, just something in him wanted to show the world, I don't need you. I can do it myself. He never really thought about showing that to Kushina, no, but deep down that was what was fueling him to these extents. He was jealous, yet he didn't admit it. He was hurting, yet he didn't show it. He was angry, yet he didn't let it overcome him. To be honest, he forgot everything here out in the wilderness, the village, his family, his tutor who dropped him off here and never said a word since, nothing, just him, his friend and nature. Alright Ari, let's go. We can have a feast today. Maybe we can even make a rug with this one. Naruto exclaimed as his one chain coiled around the deer and lifted up the lower half. Naruto couldn't carry the entire deer with his one chain yet, so he was forced to lift the remaining half. Naruto walked back to his base of operations with the Snow White wolf in tow. Naruto didn't really worry about any predators at the moment, as the wolf pack Ari used to belong to was long gone. Naruto never heard any howling. Ari never left, nor showed that she knew anything either. Naruto didn't even encounter another bear after the first one. He assumed that was the male bear of the region, and the others refused to go into another male's land, or they didn't know that the male bear was dead. One way or another, Naruto wasn't complaining. No bears meant no trouble. So after a 10 to 15 minute walk with the deer, Naruto finally made it back to his cave. He entered the cave and quickly took note of everything to make sure nothing was disrupted. On the right side was his makeshift cot with a dreadfully skinned bear fur as a blanket. In the middle was his fire pit. Behind the fire pit farther in the cave was a makeshift table for Naruto to prepare food or weapons. On the floors were a few crudely skinned deer skins for a rug. Over to the left of the cave was a bench of some sort and a couple makeshift knives created from grinded down stones. But nothing's different. Naruto spoke to himself as he made his way towards the back of the cave with the deer in hand. Ari made her way to the cot she and Naruto slept on, and she made herself comfy as she waited for the food. He placed the deer down on the table and slowly started to analyze it, seeing what he should do first. Alright. Let's gut this thing, then skin it. Maybe now I can finally make a curtain. Naruto motivated himself as he walked towards the makeshift bench and looked at all the stone knives in front of him. He never liked using his kunai because they were the most weapon-oriented things he had, and he didn't want to ruin them by gutting an animal with them. If he had more than he had now, then he wouldn't care, but at the moment he only had 4, not including the kunai on his spear. That's when Naruto picked up a stone knife that looked like it was supposed to be a kunai, but it obviously wasn't that similar in resemblance considering the tools Naruto had. So, Naruto grabbed the knife and made his way back to the dead deer. That's when he felt it. As soon as he was about to puncture the skin on the deer, all of his senses went off. The senses he honed ever since he was left in the wilderness, his natural dormant instincts he tapped into as he was left in the middle of nowhere for months. Danger. Fear, that was all he felt for a split second. But he didn't falter. Fear was just an emotion he learned. That didn't change the fact he sensed it from behind him. Almost immediately after he felt it, he flung around, stone blade in hand, and flung the blade at whatever or whoever the intruder was. The blade made contact with the stone wall, and the force of Naruto's chakra enhanced through made it shatter upon impact. Nothing. Naruto didn't see anything, but he still felt it. Behind him. Naruto spun around again, this time grabbing his spear that he placed leaning against the table. Right before he thrust his spear, he saw the cause of his senses going haywire. A figure. All black, around 6 foot on the other side of the table. Naruto thrust the spear at the individual's heart, hoping to kill him before he himself was killed. The figure simply deflected the spear with his left hand before grabbing the spear and crushing it in his. Those split few seconds was all that it took for Ari to already be flying through the air towards the individual. The figure saw the beast and used its fist to send Ari flying back, crashing into the wall. The figure didn't hesitate to bring out a kunai and fling it towards Ari, intending to kill her swiftly. Naruto saw this and all of a sudden, he felt his veins fill with power and adrenaline. No. Naruto's voice sounded more animalistic and powerful. All of a sudden, black chains erupted from Naruto's back. 3 chains immediately soared through the air and deflected the kunai, keeping Ari safe. The remaining 7 chains rushed towards the attacker, intending to incapacitate and slay him. It wasn't as many chains as when Naruto killed the bear, but Naruto didn't care at the moment. He had one goal at the moment. Kill his foe or be killed. The chains soared towards the figure as Naruto reached into his kunai pouch and flung 2 of his remaining 4 kunai. The second kunai was purposely sent momentarily after the first in order to catch the foe off guard. The chains easily captured the attacker's limbs and held him still for both of the kunai to strike him dead. That was too easy. Was running through Naruto's head as he looked deeper into the cave for anything out of the ordinary. Behind. Naruto felt it again, grabbing a kunai in each hand, which wasn't common for a shinobi for hand-to-hand combat, or in this case weapon-to-hand combat. Naruto rammed his kunai straight into the individual's gut. Naruto didn't even register the squelching feel of his kunai burrowing into his attacker's organs, he simply pushed as hard as he could. The attack grabbed Naruto's wrist, unhinging it from his gut, and went to pin Naruto. That was when Naruto used his remaining kunai held hand and went straight for the individual's neck. The attack couldn't get out of this, he was too close to Naruto, he wouldn't even be able to jump back, he was too close. Naruto was centimeters away from the neck when his foe disappeared in a shunshin. Naruto didn't waste time getting back up and flaring his senses. That's when he felt it. He knew this person. It was similar. Anther Sensei. Naruto asked aloud. Almost immediately after the figure materialized at the entrance of the cave in full view of Naruto thanks to the small amount of sunlight still in the sky. "Naruto." Panther greeted. "Growl." Ari finally got up again and growled towards Panther. "Ari, stand down." "He's okay." Naruto ordered and the wolf relented but still moved to stand protectively in front of Naruto. "I see you've been making friends." Panther spoke as he grabbed his gut. "I have. Wait, did I seriously get you?" Naruto spoke incredulously for a split second. Indeed, Panther spoke as he opened a pouch on his arm and brought out a roll of medical wrap. "What? How?" Naruto asked as he was starting to doubt his sensei if he could even call him that at this point. "I made a grave mistake I don't plan on making again. I never expected you to see past my genjutsu nevertheless react that fast." Naruto said sadly. "You're depressed?" Panther asked curiously. "I mean, yeah, if I can catch you off guard." That Naruto was cut off as Panther disappeared from his view and he felt cold steel placed gently against his neck. "Like I said, I made a mistake I don't plan on making again." Panther said seriously, making all of Naruto's worries vanish. "Right, so am I finally done?" Naruto asked. "Indeed. We are leaving immediately." "Sweet. Do you have any sealing scrolls with you, Panther-sensei?" Naruto asked excitedly. "I do. May I ask why?" Panther asked as he grabbed a scroll from inside of his Anbu vest and threw it towards Naruto. "I don't want to leave some of this behind. Especially this guy." Naruto exclaimed as he pointed at the bearskin. "I see, then hurry up." Panther spoke in his normal monotone as he leaned against the cave wall. After a few minutes of Naruto packing things, he spoke out again. "You don't mind me bringing Ari, right?" Naruto asked offhandedly as he stored another thing. "The wolf can't come." Panther said seriously. Immediately Naruto stopped what he was doing and stared sternly towards Panther. "She has to come." Naruto explained. "Nope." "Yes. The Anbu dorms don't accept pets." Panther explained. "She isn't a pet." "Oh? Then what is she?" "Your friend." Panther asked emotionlessly, but Naruto could feel the sarcasm. "Yes, and my companion." "No can do, nobody else would see it that way." Panther further explained. "Then what about any Inuyasha Anbu?" Naruto asked, even though it was more of a statement. Naruto's quick thinking caught Panther off guard once again, but he didn't show it. "They're different." "Oh yeah? How different?" Naruto asked again. "They are ninja companions and are used in combat or tracking. They are ninja certified." Panther explained. "Then Ari is my ninja companion." Naruto said sternly. "It's not that simple." "Oh, I think it is." Naruto narrowed his eyes towards his sensei. "Oh? Are you threateningly me?" Panther asked, clearly amused. "No. I just don't think it's that complicated for one of the strongest and most elusive Anbu captains to do." Naruto said, not faltering. Panther stared at Naruto through his mask for a few moments, not moving in the slightest. "Well?" Naruto asked. "You have to ask the Hokage, not as a ninja, as his grandson. That is the only way this would work." Panther explained. TSK Naruto grit his teeth slightly. He hated using the grandson card and using that to take advantage of his grandfather. After Kushina left, he made it his goal to never burden anyone he cherished. "So? Will you?" Panther asked curiously as he eyed the pure white wolf with beautiful blue eyes that sat at Naruto's feet. "Fine." Naruto relented as he turned around and finished his packing. "Fine?" Panther asked for a confirmation. "Fine, I'll ask him." Naruto said ruefully as he didn't want to ask his grandfather, but at the same time he wouldn't dare leave Ari behind. "Good. Now are you done?" Panther asked again, gesturing to the storage scroll. "Yeah, we can go." Naruto said as he and Ari walked towards Panther. "Good, we are going to Shunshin back to Konoha, so hold on to me and your dog." Panther explained as he grabbed Naruto's shoulder. "She isn't a dog. She's a wolf." "Get it right." Naruto said offendedly. "Right, where did you find her anyways?" Panther asked, postponing the Shunshin. "She was from the pack of wolves who live in this area. She left them by herself to stay with me." Naruto answered proudly. "There isn't a wolf pack that is native to this place, Naruto." Panther responded seriously. "What? I just saw them like a month or two ago." Naruto explained. "For as long as I've known, no wolves have ever been here. Bears, yes, wolves. No, never been a wolf here." Panther explained seriously. "Maybe they were in the process of moving." Naruto guessed. Maybe if Panther wasn't wearing his mask, Naruto would have seen the furrowing of his eyebrows in confusion at this odd occurrence. As fast as they came, they left. In a swirl of leaves, the two ninjas and the wolf vanished from the cave, leaving nothing but a worn-out fire pit behind. Land of hot water. Unknown town. Two figures could be seen sitting outside a restaurant talking, eating, and laughing. Overall, they looked like they were having a good time. They both had astonishing crimson-red hair that could be seen from a mile away. One of the individuals was a goddess on earth with her womanly figure that could swoon almost any man. The second individual was a much shorter girl who looked around the age of 7 to 8. They both were talking about various things, not caring for anything going on around them at the moment. That was quickly interrupted though. A brown and white messenger hawk stopped its flight and glided its way down towards the Redeeds, and as gracefully as it could, it landed next to the Redeeds' table on the railing separating the street from the outdoors sitting area. "What happened now, Mom?" the younger Redeed asked. "It's just the normal letter informing me on Naruto and how he's doing, Mito," Kushina informed her daughter with one eyebrow raised. "What? Didn't you just get one a few days ago?" Mito asked confusingly. "I did, that's what's confusing me, something must have happened," Kushina informed as she grabbed the scroll that was hanging on the hawk's back with slightly quivering hands. The slight turmoil in her gut that she felt every once in a while, whenever it concerned Naruto returned, she always shook it off, but it never completely left her, it just stayed in the back and simply taunted her. She felt like something was wrong, really wrong, but she never let that thought stay for more than a moment as she had to focus on Mito. Nah. What's it say?" Mito asked curiously as she tried to bend over the table and peek at the message. "That's what I'm trying to see. So if you would kindly sit back down and learn some patience, I will tell you," Kushina explained, using her finger to push the hyper 7-year-old back down into her seat. A few moments passed as Mito sat expectantly and Kushina read word for word analyzing its contents. All of a sudden Kushina's aura flared slightly and started to turn an eerie dark color. Kushina flexed her hand, subconsciously crumpling the paper between her hands in the process. Mito stared in awe and fear as her mother's hair shadowed her eyes, seemingly angry and disappointed. What happened?" Mito asked hesitantly. "Their brother has done something very stupid, that's what," Kushina said as she placed the letter on the table and leaned back. The letter read. "Dear Kushina, once again I urge you to return home. We can take care of the problems together and keep everything under control. Naruto still hasn't gotten better and it is only going to get worse. I don't know what you are trying to accomplish by doing this, but it isn't worth it. Naruto recently dropped out of the academy and I could do nothing to stop him, and I don't think he is going to return unless you return and try to speak some sense into him. Letters will not do anyone justice, let alone somebody like Naruto who needs to speak face to face to feel that closeness. Even if you just drop by, at least say something to Naruto. Now you ask me why Naruto never has anything to say in the letters, let alone write to you? I think I just answered that question quite clearly. That is all. I hope you come up with the right decision after reading this." Mito quickly looked over the letter, but being 7 as she was, it didn't really make sense to her. "What did he do?" Mito asked again. "Their brother dropped out of the academy and is refusing to go back." Kushina sighed. Oh, Mito spoke quietly and thought. "What the hell happened, Naruto? You were such a good kid. What happened?" Kushina asked aloud to nobody in particular, totally oblivious to what was happening back in Konoha. "I got it, Mom," Mito cheered innocently. "What is it, honey?" Kushina asked, not entirely listening to her daughter as she had other thoughts in her mind at the moment. "You said it yourself when we left. The academy doesn't really teach you anything too important until the last couple of years. We can teach Naruto everything ourselves. We will all be together that way. It will be fun." Mito exclaimed her idea excitedly. "Mito, that's not a bad idea," Kushina spoke as she brought a hand to her chin and thought. "Exactly," Mito cheered. "Then we can bond together like a family and make up for all this time away. We can even teach him everything else we learned here too. Mito, I am so proud of you. That idea is perfect." Kushina cheered as she quickly took out a piece of paper and a pen to write her message back to Hiruzen, almost completely disregarding everything else she read in the letter. Konoha. Hokage's office. Hiruzen Sarutobi was not in the best moods at the moment. First of all, he hadn't seen his surrogate grandson in a few months due to his sensei putting him in a survival test in an unknown area. What made it worse was the fact that Naruto wasn't completely healed both mentally and physically at the time he was sent out. That in itself worried Hiruzen greatly due to the fact that he saw what Naruto did when he broke down on a few occasions. What made matters even worse than that? The letter Hiruzen just read. Hiruzen placed his pipe down on the table and leaned back in his chair. He gave out an exasperated sigh and seemingly sat in silence as he thought over what he just read in the message. The letter read. "Dear Hiruzen. I understand that it is clearly worse than I initially expected considering Naruto himself dropped out and is even refusing to re-enter the academy. That does not mean I will be coming back to scold him though. Yes, I am extremely disappointed in what my son has become, but what can I do? I have to focus on Mito at the moment, so it would serve no good in returning, but seriously. What happened to Naruto? Do you have any idea? He was such a good kid to just up and stop being a good kid for no reason whatsoever. Anyways, as for him dropping out, I have that under control. Mito gave me a brilliant idea. It will be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Me and Mito, once we return, will teach and train Naruto everything we know and he needs for the academy. That way we can get family bonding and we can teach him. Hell, it will even be catching up on all the time we missed." Anyways, I'm writing this during our lunch break, so we have to get back soon, so that's all for now. From Kushina. Hiruzen was brought out of his musings as a knock on the door was heard. Hiruzen sealed away the letter and signaled that they could enter. He was left with one lingering thought. What am I going to do? Uchiha compound. A boy and a wolf stood at the entrance gate to the Uchiha compound. The boy was none other than Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, and the wolf was none other than his companion Ari. Ari's pure white hair literally glowed in the sunlight since Naruto just before arriving finished taking a bath and cleaning Ari's coat of fur. The pure white fur only further accentuated Ari's already majestic sapphire blue eyes. You know Ari, I really need to get you used to humans other than me, Naruto told the wolf as he stood at the entrance of the Uchiha compound. Why was Naruto saying this? Because Naruto was forced to take all back roads to get to the Uchiha compound because Ari wasn't used to humans other than himself yet. She would constantly growl at people, and if anything, even remotely startling happened, she would go full predator mode. Ari simply looked at Naruto with an unreadable expression. Right, I still have to work on communication so we can talk to each other better, at least Gramps let you be my ninja partner easily though. Naruto spoke as he remembered the conversation. It wasn't really a conversation, he was just happy Naruto was back and better than ever, and the only thing Hiruzen really said was a short speech about how dangerous it is for a ninja companion and how you should teach them really strictly and excellently to make sure they are both obedient and smart enough to make decisions on their own. Other than that, Hiruzen just said that Naruto should visit Mikoto as she was asking about him and starting to worry. Alright Ari, don't growl at anyone here. These Uchiha don't like it at all. So just follow me and keep up. Naruto said seriously to the wolf as he was kneeling in front of the wolf. The wolf yipped in response, but Naruto was still worried, at least the Uchiha compound didn't have that much traffic, so he didn't have to worry about too many civilians or shinobi. As Naruto entered the compound, the guard simply nodded his head towards him in acknowledgement and looked at Ari in curiosity. Naruto walked the streets in relative peace. Ari was literally sticking to Naruto's right side. She was constantly leaning on Naruto as they walked, but Naruto didn't care, he quite enjoyed somebody, or in this case a wolf, using him for support, even if it was something as small as this. Finally, after about a 7-minute walk, Naruto stopped at his destination. It was one of the bigger houses in the compound, but it wasn't the biggest. It was a traditional Japanese house like you would find in the Hyuga compound, but the difference was the personal hot spring in the backyard, surrounded in large fences and traps, making it impossible for perverts to peek into it. Alright Ari, Naruto called out, getting the curious wolf's attention. Ari stared at Naruto. Whatever you do, don't scare her mad at this lady, okay? She's okay. She just might be scary depending on how mad she is, Naruto informed the wolf. Stare. Ari simply stared at Naruto unflinchingly. Sigh. Alright, sit and stay, Naruto commanded the wolf, in which it sat around 10 feet away from the door of the house. You okay? Naruto walked up the door. Knock knock. Please don't be Fugaku. Please don't be Fugaku. Please don't be Fugaku, Naruto chanted in hope that it would just be Mikoto home and nobody else. Thud, thud, thud. Naruto could hear the footsteps approaching the door. Naruto stood straight up and stiffened out his clothes, making sure he looked presentable, and made one last motion towards Ari to stay and not to move no matter what. All of a sudden, the traditional Japanese door slid open, revealing a goddess, a woman with midnight black hair that reached down her back and 2 locks of hair, framing her face perfectly, only further expressing her beauty. She had an unflawed body that many women would kill to have, large breasts, wide hips, tight waist, and long legs. That with her hair and heart-shaped face would make most men weak in the knees. The woman in question was wearing a purplish black dress with a tan apron over the top, attempting to hide her generous assets, and it wasn't working that well. The woman was wiping her hands on her apron as soon as she opened the door and stared out the door with an analytical gaze with her charcoal black eyes. Seeing who the visitor was, she had serious expression on at first, but as soon as she laid eyes on the blonde-haired blue-eyed child before her, Naruto, the woman exclaimed as she launched herself towards Naruto, bringing him into a massive hug. Immediately Naruto stiffened at the action, no longer used to the foreign feeling of a motherly hug. After all, it has been over half a year since he last had a real hug. Naruto? The woman asked worriedly as she felt his stiffness. After a brief moment, Naruto literally melted into the woman's embrace. The woman smiled as Naruto literally used all of his strength to hug back. She knew why Naruto was like this, and she was just waited for Naruto to come by. But sadly, after Kushina left, Naruto never went to the Uchiha compound since. Naruto didn't show that he was going to let go anytime soon, so the woman adjusted herself so she could sit comfortably while Naruto enjoyed the embrace. The woman closed her eyes and rested her head on Naruto's shoulder as she waited for Naruto to get out whatever he needed. They simply sat in silence, no noise whatsoever, no crying, no sniffling, nothing. Finally, after multiple minutes of waiting, Naruto started to move. Anti-Mikoto. Naruto started using his first words since seeing the woman. Yes, Naruto? The now named Mikoto asked caringly, still holding on to Naruto. Thank you. Naruto slowly leaned out of the embrace, still relishing the warmth that came from it. No thank you Naruto, I really needed a hug. I ran out of hugging energy just a few moments before you came. Mikoto said happily as she smiled at the boy, no longer using her serious expression. The okay Naruto smiled in return. Mikoto looked over Naruto, noticing he changed quite a bit over the past months that nobody saw him. First of all, he had a growth spurt, that was for sure. He wasn't extremely tall that it would freak anyone out, he was just on the taller side of anyone around his age. His face lost some of the baby fat he had, so he had a more sharp looking face, and his aura was now different. He was no longer the bright bundle of happiness that everyone knew him for. Now his aura was more distant, cold and serious, but Mikoto saw deeper than that. Maybe it was her time as a shinobi that saw it. Maybe it was the fact that she was a mother, but either way she saw a glimpse of the same boy from before. It was small, but it was still there. She was about to say he was like a miniature Itachi or Kakashi with his aura, but that small glimpse of light was all she needed to see. He was still the same deep down. Oh? What do we have here? Mikoto asked aloud as she noticed something behind Naruto. Ari stood there, no longer sitting, but standing ready to pounce to save Naruto. Oh. That's Ari. She's my new ninja companion. I found her and she stayed with me ever since. Gramps just finished finalizing the details before I came here. Naruto exclaimed cheerfully. I see, well, nice to meet you Ari, you sure are a beautiful wolf. Mikoto slowly approached the wolf, going to pet her. She just started seeing other people than me today, so she's scared, so watch out Naruto warned Mikoto. Mikoto simply smiled at the wolf and extended a hand to pet the wolf. Ari stiffened, but nevertheless let her pet her as Naruto was giving her a warning look. Such a beautiful creature, Mikoto said in awe. As soon as Mikoto finished petting the wolf walked towards Naruto and stood protectively by him. You have found quite the capable companion Naruto, I can see she trusts you immensely and wishes to protect you. Mikoto informed the boy. Thanks. Naruto said with pride evident in his voice. Now Mikoto gave a smile towards Naruto. Naruto stayed silent. Why don't we go and you can explain why you didn't visit for a good half a year? Mikoto asked with a bone-chilling smile towards Naruto. Oh okay Naruto said as he chuckled nervously. Inside the Uchiha branch house. Naruto sat quietly in the living room of the house. The room consisted of a tatami mat floor, a coffee table in the center, 4 floor pillows on the sides of the coffee table, a television in the corner, and a large sliding door that opened and faced the garden outside. Overall it was a quaint and nice room. Naruto currently sat with Ari next to him staring outside. Mikoto was in the kitchen getting snacks and beverages for the two so they could talk about what Naruto has been up to, and Naruto could also notice Mikoto had something she needed to say too. A few minutes of waiting finally ended when Mikoto entered the room carrying a tray with a pitcher and a plate of snacks. Mikoto sat down opposite Naruto and stared at Naruto expectantly. So? What was more important than coming to see me for this long? Mikoto asked. Well, I wasn't in town, Naruto explained meekly. I know that, but what about before that? Why couldn't you come and tell me you weren't going to be around for a while? Mikoto asked again. Because Naruto made it clear that he didn't want to state the reason. Mikoto softened her gaze and grasped Naruto's hands from across the table. It's just Naruto started again. Naruto, it's fine, you can tell me anything, I won't be offended. Mikoto stated softly. Because you're friends with her, Naruto explained quietly. Because I'm friends with? Mikoto asked again. With her, Naruto clarified again. Her? You mean Kushina? Mikoto asked confusingly. Naruto nodded his head yes. And? Oh Naruto. Please don't think that way. I didn't agree with her. Please don't think I did. Mikoto squeezed Naruto's hand reassuringly as she stared deep into his eyes, causing him to get slightly uncomfortable. Oh okay, I believe you. Naruto responded meekly. Oh thank you, Mikoto sighed in relief as she let go of Naruto's hand. Naruto sat in awkward silence, not knowing what to say now. You know, Kushina came and explained to me why she was leaving and tried to make me see eye to eye with her. Well, she came to tell me to look out for you in Wetnet, but when I didn't see eye to eye with her, she was offended and we got into a small argument. Mikoto broke the silence. You did? Naruto asked curiously. I did, it went a little like this at least. Mikoto stared into the distance as she remembered the ordeal. Flashback, Kushina and Mikoto were sat opposite each other in the same living room as Naruto is in as Mikoto. Kushina looked slightly serious while Mikoto looked serious and downright angry as she glared towards Kushina. So? Kushina asked expectantly. Don't. What? Kushina asked slightly shocked. Just don't. I have been your friend since the academy days and I've always stuck with you, but this? I will have no part of, I'm telling you right now, don't. Mikoto informed strictly. Mikoto, I have to. Kushina explained. You have to, why? Danzo? Orochimaru? That reason I can't tell. Huh. Do you honestly think this is a good idea? Did you even ask Lord Third yet? If you have, then you obviously know he didn't agree. Mikoto yelled to her best friend. I just have to. It's to protect them both. Kushina all but screamed. Is it? Or is it so you can pamper your little girl? Don't lie to me, everyone knows it, you favor Mito over Naruto any day. Mikoto sneered. Slap. Kushina glared across the room at her best friend. Don't you ever say that again. Kushina threatened. Why? Because you know it's true. You wouldn't have reacted like that if you didn't believe to an extent. Mikoto informed angrily. It is not. I love them both equally. Kushina roared. Yeah, sure. That's why you have Mito follow you every second of the day while you leave Naruto by himself. That's why you only train Mito. That's why you don't even second guess where Naruto gets all of his injuries from. Do you seriously expect me to believe any bit of the crap you are spouting? Mikoto roared back. You know why I have to do those things? Kushina yelled in return. Why? Explain to me again. Why do you need to neglect Naruto so much for Mito? Why? Mikoto interrogated quite heatedly. Because I have two assholes going after my daughter. Danzo the old cunt will try and brainwash Mito without me looking and get her to join him willingly. Orochimaru the deranged fuck will take any chance he can to get a Jinchuriki on his side. He will come to capture her at a moment's notice. He has as many spies in Konoha as Danzo does. Hiruzen can't do anything against Danzo because the old coot has nothing against him yet. Even if he did something, if Mito joins him willingly, then I can't stop her. She will just turn into a weapon. Orochimaru has so many spies in Konoha, even if we catch one, two more will appear. It's not that simple, Mikoto. Kushina screamed. Then why leave? Why leave Naruto behind? Why leave him to the wolves just because you're what? Afraid? You have the goddamn Hokage and multiple S-rank shinobi at your beck and call if you need to. Why can't you train Naruto? Why can't you spend time with him other than holidays? Why can't you just have some mother and son bonding? You know how much love Naruto has for you? Do you seriously want to take that for granted because I sit here all the time wanting to just coddle my son again? But I can't. I lost that chance. He's in the fucking Anbu. Risking his life daily. I have a husband who doesn't even love me. I have to deal with this head of the Uchiha crap. So no. Don't even try and tell me it's not that simple. Because it is. It's so simple I can't understand why you can't get it through your fucking head. Mikoto roared in rage as her emotions boiled out of control. No. Why can't you get it through your thick skull? I can't spend time with Naruto because I have to protect Mito. If you were in my position you would do the same. I came here to ask you to take Naruto under your care. Not for this. Kushina exclaimed in utter rage. I'm bringing this up because you are making a retarded decision. You are taking Naruto for granted. Why can't you take him with you? I would love to have Naruto here, but I know what he truly wants. He wants to be with you. He loves you so much. I'm jealous anyone could completely adore somebody so much. He's obsessed with you. He adores you. You are his everything. His world. Do you really want to take that away from him? Do you? You will take away his lifeline. Mikoto explained as tears streamed in her eyes. I can't take him for his own good. If I take him with me he will have a target painted on his back. This way he can stay safe with everyone here. They don't want Naruto. They want the fucking fox. Naruto is nothing. He isn't special. He doesn't have any special abilities. He is average. He is normal. He is a dull color to them. Kushina yelled, raising her voice even louder. So that's how you see him. Ha. Parent of the fucking year. You disappoint me, Kushina. I expected more from you. You were so happy when you came back with twins, you couldn't even show your sadness from Minato's death because you were so fucking happy. Now this. Your own son is simply average or nothing. Seriously. Your own fucking son. How can yourself his mother? Mothers are supposed to see how utterly amazing their children are so they can tell their child. They are supposed to push them past their limits, teach them how to live, to write, to love, to hate. They are supposed to be able to hug their child and tell them it's going to be okay. But obviously not to you. To you, your own son is simply just another child in the park. Mikoto quieted down and spoke with utter disgust evident in her tone. That's not what I mean. Kushina was cut off by Mikoto again. No. I think that's exactly what you meant. They say in somebody's rage they will say what they truly mean. I think we just saw that first-handed. We're done here, it's time for you to leave. Mikoto sneered as she stood up, still glaring at Kushina. Kushina got up and started walking down the hallway to the front door. I'm leaving Naruto here so I can protect both of my children. Orochimaru doesn't want Naruto, Danzo doesn't want Naruto, Mito is who they both want. As long as I'm out of Konoha, both Danzo and Orochimaru can't track me. Orochimaru's spy network is good, but not good enough to find me in the entire elemental nations. Danzo can send trackers, but even they aren't that good. Konoha is their domain, not out in the world. Kushina explained as she opened the door and looked back at Mikoto, who had her arms crossed underneath her bust. That's what you think. What if they are just waiting for you to leave Naruto? What then? Mikoto added. They don't want Naruto. Kushina yelled again. That's what they want you to think. Mikoto added once again. There's more than just them. I just can't say what they are yet, only the Hokage and a few others know, Kushina told the Uchiha. Oh yeah? Well, don't blame me when you lose a son. Mikoto spoke as she turned around and started walking away from the hallway. I won't. Naruto loves me. You said it yourself. He is an amazing child. He accepts anything. He forgives anything. He loves no matter what. Kushina exclaimed. Point proven. You take his love for granted. Mikoto informed. I don't. When do you ever try and follow up on any of Naruto's accidents with his friends? Mikoto finally asked. I don't. I trust him. Kushina declared. I trust my children too. That doesn't mean I will make sure they are safe even if they say they are. What if he is saying that just to make sure you don't find out he's getting in trouble? Or what if he loves you so much that he doesn't want you to worry? Huh? Ever think about that? Mikoto asked. I don't have to. Kushina started. Get out. It's time for you to leave. I will take care of Naruto, isn't that what you wanted to hear? Now leave, our business here is done. I will say this one last time, don't leave. Mikoto told the retreated Uzumaki. Kushina didn't say any more words and simply left and quietly shut the door. Kushina left Konoha 3 days later. Flashback end. Naruto sat there in silence at what he heard. He clenched his fists in disappointment at what his own mother said about him. Did any of these revelations change his mind? No. He still felt lingering resentment and anger, but he pushed it away and simply stared at Mikoto, who was giving him as sweet as a smile she could. Thank you, Naruto started. No need to thank me. I simply said what I thought was right. Mikoto explained softly. Still thank you. Naruto bowed his head slightly. No problem, but are you okay? Mikoto asked worriedly. About? Naruto asked curiously as he lost all the lingering anger and sadness that was just evident in his expression. About what Kushina said and did, Mikoto asked, slightly taken aback. I'm not surprised. Naruto stated, surprising Mikoto. You aren't? Nope, I expected as much. I've already gotten over it. She's no mother to me, I gave her a test like Gramps told me to do, but even then, I don't know if I want to ever have her back in my life as my own mother. She failed me too many times as it is. This was simply the breaking point. Naruto smiled towards Mikoto, scaring her slightly from this reaction. I see. Lord Third was right, it's bad, but we shouldn't try and change Naruto, it's his choice. Mikoto thought back to a conversation she had with Hiruzen after she inquired about Naruto's whereabouts. Yep, now I really should be going. Naruto was interrupted as the adrenaline pumping through his veins spiked his senses. He felt danger. Mikoto raised her eyebrows at something behind Naruto, and that was all Naruto needed to know to figure out where the danger was coming from. Naruto leaped up, leaving Ari sleeping on the floor, not noticing anything yet. He spun around, realized he didn't have any weapons on him, and jumped to the assailant's back. Fugaku Uchiha never really liked Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. He was too full of love and happiness, it wasn't good for a ninja to have. So imagine Fugaku's subconscious reaction when he appeared in his living room and saw none other than Naruto talking to his wife in his home. Fugaku glared at Naruto's back for a split second before Naruto leaped up, spun around to face the danger, and saw a man much taller than him, but didn't really look at his face. His survival instincts kicked in, and he did what came to him. He got behind the assailant, leaped, brought his legs around the figure's neck, and spun with emotion, using gravity to his advantage. The assailant was sent crashing to the floor, with Naruto taking him down harshly and brutally. Thud. The back of Fugaku's head was sent crashing into the tatami mats, breaking it partially in the process. Fugaku wasn't all there, as his entire brain was just shaken brutally from the impact. By the time he figured out what just happened, Naruto was already on his chest with his hands around Fugaku's neck, attempting to strangle. While Naruto was in the process of attempting to strangle Fugaku to death, he finally had time to look at his assailant's face, and he knew who it was. Oh crap. Naruto leaped back in shock. Cough. Fugaku coughed and rubbed the back of his head lightly. Mikoto and Fugaku both didn't have time to do anything as it all happened so fast and not expectedly. Then Naruto Mikoto spoke in awe and shock at what just occurred. Sorry, Mr. Fugaku. Naruto was scared out of his wits at what he just did. Fugaku didn't answer for a second, he simply sat there tending to his bruises. You've changed. Fugaku started. Why yes, sorry, Naruto apologized once again. Fugaku smirked towards Naruto, liking this new Naruto. I barely gave anything away that would tell him I appeared, let alone let out any sign of danger, yet he sensed it. Fugaku was impressed, but he would never say it. I have to go now. Naruto explained. Alright, I'll see you out, Naruto. Mikoto informed as she stood up. Alright. Naruto and Mikoto made their way to the front door, leaving Fugaku to his own accord. As they made it to the front door with Ari following closely behind, Mikoto stopped at the door and Naruto outside. Naruto Mikoto started. Yes. Am I in trouble? Naruto asked worriedly. No, you aren't. Was that unexpected? Quite, but you aren't in trouble. Mikoto explained. Then what do you need? Makoto then brought Naruto into another hug, squishing him in her bust. You can come anytime you need, I will always be there to help you. Itachi told me you were an Anbu, even though he wasn't supposed to, but still I will help you whenever you need it. Makoto explained as she let go of Naruto and held him by the shoulders. Oh okay, Naruto didn't know how to answer that. Good. Makoto chirped. Makoto then leaned forward and kissed Naruto on the cheek, causing him to blush to an extreme extent. Makoto chuckled at his expression as she waved goodbye and went back into her house, leaving Naruto and Ari by themselves. What if Konoha want werewolf Naruto back? Thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.